Invitation is locked. Well, I done screwed that up, guys. Hey, if you all are watching right now, let me know if my audio is good. Before we get started here, we'll kind of kill some time. If you're watching this after the fact, this is always the worst part of a live stream while we wait on people to log on and kill time and whatnot. But I've got a fellow over here, Eric Thomason, tonight. He's over here moderating for me. So he's going to handle the chat box tonight, but if somebody could give me an update here, if you all can hear me. Sometimes in the past I've had an echo on this thing. I got my volume turned down. I don't know if that does anything or not. So I'm seeing good audio there from somebody. All right.
Loud and clear.
So, yeah, guys, it's December here. The weather here has been kind of rough lately, and I went down to Del Hollow last week thinking I was going to get me 3 to 4 videos down there, and that just didn't happen. So I'm a little behind on publishing videos. So I thought I'll come on here tonight and just do a Q&A session, try to chat with some of you and answer as many questions as I can. And my buddy Eric over here said he'd be happy to help me out. And, you know, in times in the past when I've tried these live streams, it's hard for me to keep track of the comments and the scrolling and whatnot. So he's just going to call out the comments to me and I'll answer questions and whatnot. So hopefully I'll get to a lot more of you tonight than what I normally do. But anyway, guys, I'll let him get started here. And before I get going, I just want to say too, Saturday night at, I believe it's 7 or 7:30 on Palmetto Cat's channel, he is doing a catfishing awards show. And apparently I've been nominated for something on there. I wish I could watch. I got plans Saturday night, so I'm not going to be able to watch it live. I'm going to have to watch it after the fact. But if you want to tune into his show, he's going to be doing a lot of awards for various fishermen and YouTube channels and whatnot. So I think it's going to be a pretty cool event if you all want to tune in. I wish I was able to watch it live. Somebody's giving me money up here. Those Palmetto Cats. Speak of the devil, I was just talking about you, Kevin. I was trying to get people over there to your show on Saturday night. Thank you, sir, for the donation. I hope your show goes well. I wish I could watch, man. I don't know who nominated me for what, but whoever it is out there, thank you. And I'll have to do something there if I win me something. So, all right, I'm going to turn it over to my man, Eric. He's got the best dogs in the world right here. This is Dixie. Sookie's over there on the couch. She ain't having none of this live stream crap, but my man here is going to call out the questions. And, yeah, y'all, looks like we got, what, 281 in here right now. So, a lot of people tuning in tonight. So lay it on me, Eric.
We've got an easy one from Gregory Lanham. I apologize if I butcher anybody's name. What is the longest fish you have caught?
Well, the longest one I've ever measured was 50 inches. Now, I've caught some longer than that, but I only measure them if I'm in a tournament. And so I got one earlier this summer that was 50 inches on the line. And that's the biggest one I've caught this year. But I know I've had some that's been a little bit longer than that. And hey, y'all, when Eric's calling out the questions just then, were you able to hear him? If you all could comment down below if you're able to hear him good or if I need to move closer to him. Hold the show, Eric. Hold the show. I got another donation here. Deanna Phillips. Deanna, she tunes in all the time. Thank you, Deanna. She gave me $10. She says, hi, Justin. Just here to support. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Hey, thank you, Deanna. And Merry Christmas to you and your family, too. I appreciate that donation. Deanna, man, she shows up all the time. She's always commenting on my videos and always showing up giving donations. She's awesome. Thank you, Deanna. I see somebody down here says they can hear you. So I think we're good on audio there, Eric.
All right. I had a question from Samuel Potter about fishing there, and I've lost my track here.
Oh, welcome to my world.
Yeah, exactly.
Eric's over here losing track of the comments too.
That's
I don't know. He's not getting paid nothing tonight, but if he does a bad job, I'm gonna let one of y'all fire him at the end of the night. We'll pick out a watcher here to fire his ass.
How about from Legendary Ultra? Would you rather fish from a kayak or from the bank?
Kayak, definitely. That's the most fun way to catch them. I love catching them from the bank, especially if you can get them in shallow water. But there's just nothing more fun than being out there in a kayak and with a suspended bait especially, and having the side of your kayak start dipping over with a big blue or flathead on there. It's It's a rush like no other.
John the fisherman wants to know why we have red and blue Solo cups. He can see them over there on the counter, so just to make sure everybody's happy.
Well, listen, I'm at Eric's house, and I've heard stories of what goes on at this place, so it's probably not going to be G-rated if he told you what happens here.
Daniel Binge, what do you use as your separation piece between your weights and your hook?
I use a leader. I've got a swivel. Don't ask me what size. It's probably like a 1 or 1/0 size swivel. And then I use most of the time about a 10, 12-inch leader, 80-pound monofilament down to my hook.
How do you feel about tape measurements for weight versus scale? It comes from Hanks, 1992.
Well, that's a great question. I am all about measuring fish. I think one of the biggest things that, especially year 2020, technology is what it is. These fish can't hide anymore, and there's more pressure on them than ever. So I think it's up to us to take care of these fish. And when you're in tournament situations, these fish, they get caught early in the day, they get thrown in a live well, carted off the other side of the river, they got to go through the weigh-in process. Oftentimes, they're in low periods of low oxygen for way too long, whereas these kayak tournaments, for instance, we're putting them on a measuring board. We got a disturbance going on. Somebody's breaking in on us. But, with you using a measuring board, you measure the fish, get your picture, you release it right where you caught it just a few seconds afterwards. So I think it's a lot better on the fish. As far as, some people will say, well, you could have a 40-inch blue cat that might weigh 20 pounds, it might weigh 40 pounds, and that's true. But if everybody's competing on the same level, it really don't matter if it's weight or inches, in my opinion. But I'm all about the measuring board versus an actual scale.
Cody Logan asks, is river fishing for catfish much different than a lake?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I fish out here on the Tennessee River. I fish Fort Loudon and Watts Bar mostly, which are rivers and lakes, depending on if we got current flow or not. And a lot of times I fish morning hours because it's more convenient for me, so I won't have any flow out there. So it's really, it kind of fishes like a lake. But if you got current flow and you can get your scent moving downstream and allow fish to be able to lock in on it, I think it's a big help. And if you've got a lot of flow, well, then you start getting into fishing current breaks and stuff like that. You'll get fish that don't want to be out there on a treadmill all day type deal. So I think there is a difference, but if you're fishing a reservoir, it's kind of one and the same. We got some more money up here, Eric.
Yeah, I saw that.
P City Smitty Catfishing. He comments on a lot of my videos, so he says, I love the laugh. Man, some people love it, some people hate it. I get more comments about my laugh. It's like the most polarizing thing I do aside from the bait selection I have. Well, thank you, sir, for that donation. I really appreciate it.
Sunfish Assassin was a nice donation. It says, keep it up. Merry Christmas.
Well, Sunfish Assassin, thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you and your family. He's another one who's always commenting on my videos. I got so many good people on here to tune in every week. I appreciate all of you.
I've got a question from Muskrat Adventures. Barge bite, myth or truth?
I think it's a myth. I mean, maybe when you get up to the Mississippi River or Ohio rivers where you got bigger barges and they're maybe churning up more stuff on the bottom, or maybe if you're in shallower water. But when I have barges go by me out here on Tennessee River in deeper water, I haven't ever noticed any kind of barge bite.
Corey Frisk asks, what's your favorite reel you've used?
Probably the Daiwa Seagates that I'm using now. I love those reels. I got them for bank fishing on Catfish Dave's recommendation just because of the line capacity and the higher retrieval rates. I use the size 35, which gives you 48 inches per handle turn. So when you're bringing your lines in from the bank, most of the time when I get snagged, it's not when my baits are cast out, it's when I'm reeling it in, the sinker gets caught in the rocks, and that helps with that a lot. But they're super smooth, they're 9-level wind, and I really like them. And they're not very expensive either. I think they're like $130 on Amazon there. The price kind of fluctuates, but most time you get them about $130. So definitely my favorite.
River rat catfishing. Do you ever travel to fish with people? I'd like to take you out on the Mississippi River and chase some blues in the heavy current.
Well, it's funny you say that because I just planned a trip. That's a good segue, Eric. He's pulled that out. He's planned that for me there, folks. But no, I just talked to a another YouTuber the other day about traveling to fish, Mike Baker Videos. He's got a crappie channel. He's really good with the live scope, which is something I'm very intrigued by. And he's out there in Missouri on Lake of the Ozarks and Truman Reservoir. So I talked to him on the phone, and I'm actually going to go out there hopefully at some point in 2021 if we can get our schedules aligned and get the weather right and hopefully get over this virus pandemic and all. I'm going to hopefully get out there with him. But yeah, I hope to plan and plan some more trips where I fish with people. Thank you for the invite, by the way.
Got a couple of good ones here. Keep them coming. Caleb Yetter says, what fish finder do you use?
I use a Ray Marine Dragonfly 5 Pro. You know, the way I fish, I don't really need a fancy graph. I don't need side imaging or any of that stuff. I have a Navionics chip in the graph, and I rely on that heavily. And so otherwise, I'm just confirming that I am where I think I am on a particular structure. So I don't need a really fancy graph. But I do want me one of them live scopes, though.
So this is this is kind of a good topic for the folks watching. Doug Tessier, or Tessier, apologize, Doug, if I butchered that.
He's butchering your name, Doug.
Have you ever flipped? I did last month and owe my life to my PFD. You know, I've got some comments on that myself, but I'll let you kind of take how important that is in this kayak fishing.
Yeah, that's having your PFD is the most important thing you can do, because accidents happen. I don't care how good you are, how stable a kayak you're in. Things just go wrong sometimes. But no, I have never flipped. I come close, really close one time on video. I was releasing a flathead, trying to get a good shot of the release, and leaned way too far over in my Hobie Outback when I had it and just about flipped it. But no, thankfully, I've never went overboard. Hope I never do.
Fishtails, do you recommend using back plates on rod holders
Yes.
instead of just using mounting straight up to the kayak?
Yes, absolutely. If you can get access to the inside of your hull, put a backing plate on there. That's not going to just help keep your rod holder from getting ripped off. That's also going to help protect your kayak by dispersing the pressure over a greater surface area. You know, I see a lot of guys now, they're trying to put these metal rod holders on the kayaks, you know, whether it be Smackdown or Monster rod holders or whatever, or Driftmaster. Great rod holders. They're phenomenal on a boat. When I go back to a boat eventually, I will have a metal rod holder. But in a kayak, I don't want a metal rod holder. I want plastic, because if there's going to be a failure, I want it to be my rod holder that breaks. If the rod holder breaks, you lose your rod and reel, you got $150, $200, not a big deal. You got a metal rod holder on there that don't give, and you crack the hull of your kayak, well, then you're out $1,500 plus on your kayak if you got a good quality kayak. So I definitely, again, to answer your question, go with the backing plates if possible.
Justin, we got a couple of donations. Todd Mullis says, I found out about gulp minnows from your channel and haven't been skunked since.
That's awesome.
I'm gearing up for catfishing now as well. Love your channel. And I got educated on the gulp minnow this past weekend. So I can feel your excitement there, Todd.
Yeah. Thank you, Todd. Thank you very much for the donation. And them gulp minnows, man. If this guy right here had been throwing them the 3 pre-fishing days, we'd have caught more fish.
He was just wanting some bait for catfishing, and I do bass fishing, so I understand. I'll do a better job next time. Also,
he beat me in a tournament, so.
Also, Leah Ziders was kind enough to give a donation, so Merry Christmas to Leah.
Hey, Leah, thank you very much for the donation. Merry Christmas to you and your family. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Bradley Lale asks, how heavy of a weight do you use for suspended fishing?
I use 8 ounces most of the time. I like the heavier weight because if you're drifting, for instance, with suspended baits and the wind kicks up on you, when that wind blows the kayak, and these kayaks are lightweight to get blown easy, you'll get a big bow in your line. And so your bait, you might have it set 2 feet off the bottom, but when that wind gets you moving, if you're using a lighter sinker, it's going to raise it higher up in the water column. And so that heavier weight will keep you down. Now, if I'm anchored with suspended baits, kind of depends on the current. I'll still start with 8, but if I got too much flow to be able to keep my bait down, I may have to go up. It really just depends on the amount of current I got out there.
Brian Cochran asks, what low-dollar measuring boards would you recommend, value versus ease of use?
The cheapest measuring board on the market that's suitable for catfish is the Rapala, I believe it's called a Rapala Magnum fish ruler, 60 inches. Now, it's real narrow. You're going to have to mount it to another board, but I think they're less than $20. Now, if you'll spend a little more, if you can go up to like $80, $90, you can get a musky bumper, which is the best board on the market, in my opinion, for measuring big cats. And he'll custom make them for you. The one I have has a 4-inch bump, so if you're larger fish with a lot of girth, their top lip's not overshooting the bump there, and it's 10 inches wide. So you can put a fairly large cat on that and be able to balance it on the kayak without having to go to shore to measure your fish like you're going to have to do with like the catch board or the Rapala board there. And the Rapala board too, if you're going to fish tournaments, it's gray with black numbers. And when you're taking a picture of a big catfish, you got to get some distance between you and the fish to get it all in a picture. That background, the gray and the black numbers just don't show up good on pictures. So that's been a problem in some of the tournaments I fished, whereas the musky bumper, it's a white board with black numbers, no issues whatsoever getting the accurate measurements.
Justin, we got a donation from Green Eggs and Ham.
Woo, we got money coming in tonight.
And he has got a question for you. Do you fish any other species other than cats and bait fish?
I fish a little bit of everything. I was out here doing some bass fishing recently. We just went on that Del Hollow trip to do the tournament out there. Springtime, I'll fish crappie. That's about the only time I can catch them consistently is in the spring. That's one of the things I'm wanting to learn from Mike Baker when I get out there to fish with him is getting better at locating crappie year round. But really, to answer your question though, everything I catch is bait. Out here in East Tennessee, we can use any sport fish so long as it's caught on rod and reel and meets the minimum creel requirements. So they all bait to me, but I do like fishing for stripers, crappie. My second favorite fish behind catfish is probably bluegill. I love catching big bluegill. So I try to just fish for everything, especially if the bite is on. But thank you for the donation, sir. I really appreciate that.
Chasing Mondo's TV, do you ever fish with jugs for catfish?
No, I have before, and it's a lot of fun, especially, if you're out there with them when they go down, chasing them jugs around, but it ain't something that I do regularly.
Thanks, 1992 had a nice donation. Says, great channel. I really liked your video from Santee where you fished off the bank at the hatchery.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for the donation. That was a good trip out there. I got lucky. That feller had told me where to fish at, and I got on some good fish, and it was a good trip. I'd like to get back out there again soon. That's just an amazing fishery out there. They got some huge cats.
We just got a giant donation from Pitt's Chapel Farm. Very nice and kind of you, Pitt's Chapel Farm. No comment on that one, but we'll certainly put that to good use.
Well, thank you, Pitt's Chapel Farm. Wow, $20.
Exactly.
That is a big donation, man.
Make it rain.
Man, Eric might make a little money tonight, y'all. He was doing his pro bono. He's going to want his cut. We had another one here. Did we answer Anthony Moore? He had a donation, too, of $10.
I don't think so.
He says, hey, Justin, my wife Ashley loves your videos. Have a Merry Christmas and keep catching them gollywhoppers. Thank you, Anthony. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, too. Suki over there says Merry Christmas also.
My dog barks at dogs on the television, so apologize for the interruption. I've been wanting to ask this one for some time because I really think this is important for the sport. Carter Lindsay, what advice do you have for a new kayak fisherman?
Just kayak fishing in general, I guess, or catfishing specific. I guess the best piece of advice that I could give you that's going to save you money is get the right kayak first. A lot of people go out, they go to the local big box store, to Walmart or Dick's Sporting Goods, and they buy the kayak that's on sale. And they get out there, it's got an uncomfortable seat, it's unstable, there's no storage. And next thing you know, they don't like kayak fishing, and they're selling that kayak at a loss. So the biggest piece of advice I could give you, go to a local kayak dealer. They have demo days when we're not in the middle of a pandemic. Try out a variety of brands and models and find the one that's going to suit your needs the best. Now, you're going to pay a little more for a quality kayak, but go to these demo days, try out the new models, and then get on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and look for a used version of that same kayak. And oftentimes you'll find you'll save several $100s on that. And then the other big thing I would say is just always wear your life jacket. Make sure you get a comfortable life jacket, one that's made for kayaks with a high back. It's not going to make you uncomfortable out there interfering with your seat all day. But that'd be the two biggest pieces of advice I could give for new kayak fishermen. We got more money coming in, Eric. I see it. My screen's lit up like a lottery up here.
It looks like a traffic station there, traffic light station. Danny Stice says, what do you change in your tactics for winter catfishing? Thanks for the donation, Danny.
Danny, thank you for the donation. First off, biggest thing I change really is just bait more than anything. You know, spring through fall, I'm trying to use skipjack whenever I can get them. Once we get into winter and our water temps get under 50, which we don't go too much further down than that, we'll get in the mid 40s around here, but once we go under 50, I'll switch over to primarily shad, and that seems to be a better bait, and I'll also downsize my baits more. But as far as where I'm at, you know, the places I fish, your creek mouths, your deep points, your main channel ledges, there ain't a bad time to fish those 365 days a year. So the bait thing is the biggest thing that I change in the winter.
Will Loy with a nice donation. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Will.
No comment, no question there. Here's a question.
Well, keep an eye out for him in case he comments later.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people mean to comment and it takes their donation, and I hate to miss out on them there. Thank you, Will, though. I appreciate it. $14.99. Man, we got a lot of money in here tonight, y'all. Eric's going to want a cut of this. I guarantee you. As soon as he's going to jingle my pockets on the way out the door tonight.
Here's a question from Jason Van Patten. Justin, what would you do if you caught a potential state record by weight?
I'd call somebody, I guess. I'd keep that thing in the water and call Catfish Dave to come out there with his scale to see if I could get that thing weighed. I don't know. That's a good question. I used to keep a scale in the kayak for that very reason, but the problem with state records here in Tennessee is these fish get killed. And it's like, is it worth it to have your name in a fishing license book that nobody reads versus letting that fish that's God knows how old it is? And I'd like to have a chance at letting it go and catching it again someday. So that's a good question, but I'd probably call Catfish Dave to see if he could come bring his scale to at least get a weight on it before I let it go. I don't like that laugh. Something's going on over here. There's something crazy going on.
Cast to Catch says, is Eric getting tips to be a hashtag catfish pro? I thought that was kind of a nice comment. I'm not sure who that is.
That's Eric Burkhart.
Is that Burkhart?
That's Eric Burkhart. He's got a YouTube channel, Cast to Catch.
I'm a coachable angler. So
no, I'm over here, y'all.
Pro.
Eric's coaching me on bass fishing, what he's doing. He's sending me home with a box of goodies here tonight. He's done fed me steak and potato over here tonight. He's working for free. He's sending me home these bass lures. He's in the hole tonight. He ain't going to profit off this.
Matthew Norv, what's your biggest non-catfish catch?
Probably a tarpon. I went down to Puerto Rico a few years ago and did some tarpon fishing, and we weren't weighing them, but just holding them up and comparing them to other fish I've caught. That was probably my next biggest catch, and I've caught some pretty big striped bass also too. So those two fish would probably be I don't know the weights or lengths, but definitely those two species.
So SM Outdoors TV, what kind of places is best to fish during the winter?
Well, oftentimes your shallower water will produce in the winter. You get into the backwater areas, your creeks. Especially if you get a good warm spell, either a warm sunny day or oftentimes here in East Tennessee, we'll be 40 degrees for a week, and then we'll have 3 or 4 days of 60, 70 degrees. Those backwaters will heat up. It'll draw all them bait fish in there, and the blues and stripers will be right in there behind them. So you can fish shallower. Personally, I like to hit them creek mouths a lot. You're out there a little bit deeper, but you're catching fish moving in and out as they go back there to feed. So, once they go back into a creek, they could be back here anywhere, but they got one way in and out to get back home from that creek. So,
got a question from Garen Jordan. Would you ever use a cat fever rod? Yeah,
I would. I had messaged them there, or they messaged me back earlier in the year, but I just never. I'm kind of partial to my ugly sticks. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so I tried them cheap Academy rods I got out there earlier in the summer just because I had some pro staffers piss me off from various companies, and I wanted to show that you don't need an expensive rod to catch a catfish. But them big cat fever rods, they're really nice. I used them when I went over there and fished with Zach Royce a few years ago, and then when I went down to Alabama earlier this year and fished down there with backwoods catfishing. He has big cat fever rods, and they're great rods.
So we got another nice donation from Corey
wow.
Hardy. Love the channel. I have learned a lot from watching your videos and look forward to more. I'm interested in going with a kayak instead of a john boat. What would be your biggest tip for a beginner kayaker?
Well, Corey, thank you. Thank you so much for that money, man. We've kind of covered some of this stuff for the beginning kayakers, but I assume you're watching my channel, you're probably going after catfish. So, as far as rigging a kayak up, first thing, again, demo that kayak before you buy it. Even if you're buying used, try to get it out underwater and try it out. Make sure that it's got enough stability for you, because if you're fishing for catfish, you're going to be bringing in large fish. So you don't want a kayak that you can't reasonably lean over to haul in them fish. Second thing, you're probably going to be throwing a cast net, right, to get bait. So you need to be able to stand up on this kayak. Look, when you're buying these kayaks, look for models that you can mount a rod holder where you can get up under the hull to do that backing plate like we talked about earlier there, because you want to want secure rod holders. If it's a kayak with gear tracks and you're kind of like me with my Old Town kayak where I can't get up under there easily and you're forced to use the gear tracks, look to see if it's a kayak that's got metal gear tracks. Them plastic ones, you're gonna lose a rod holder, everything. So that would be the biggest tip I could give you as far as a new kayaks, is just get the model you want first, spend a little more to get the right kayak first. It'll save you money in the long term and get you one that's stable enough to safely fish out of. Well, thank you again for the donation.
Brian Cochran, kind of along the same topic, what low-cost fishing kayak do you recommend for the under $1,000 range?
Well, under $1,000, realistically, you could have any paddle version kayak you want if it's used. I mean, most of these kayaks, guys, I'm telling you, everybody wants that new kayak right off the showroom floor. People will buy these kayaks, use them 2 or 3 times. They sit in the garage for a year or two, and then they sell them for a few $100s less. So even if a kayak's, $1,500, $1,700.
I'm gonna take a quick time out. Brian Posey donated $5 to let you know you have a bug on your hoodie. You have a stink bug on your hoodie. I did it for you.
Well, my gosh, this place is infested over here. It's infested.
Bug here. Let me handle that.
Get that bug off me there. Look at this. You don't know what you're going to see when you live on here. I feel like Joe Biden right now. I got a fly on my head. This place, we're going to call the exterminator when we get out of here. Where's Cook's Pest Control at?
That bug's worth more than $5, Brian. we appreciate the love.
I don't even know what I was talking about. That bug made the show right there.
We're talking about low-cost kayaks.
Low-cost kayaks, yeah. But now that I'm totally distracted by the stink bug, go into the used market and get whatever kayak you want, man. That'd be the best. Don't go to the big box store. Don't get them, what are they, Sun Dolphins, or they've got a host of other names. They're $300-$400. You will be miserable in them. Get you one with a good seat, a quality brand, 2 or 3, 4 years old, and have you a good time, and that kayak will last you forever.
All right.
We got another one up here.
We got another donation from Charles Linehand. Merry Christmas, brother. Love to see how big you have got. Keep it going.
Well, thank you, Charles. I appreciate your support. Thanks for watching these videos, and thank you for the donation.
Robert Barnett, if it's the same Robert Barnett, we like to call him Big Fish Barnett. He asked if you ever did any guided tours.
I wonder if he means like me going on guided tours or me doing. I don't do guided tours. I'm not a fishing guide. I'm not licensed or insured for that kind of thing. And
that's for sure. I fished with him all weekend.
Eric's over here talking smack. Well, no, I don't do any of that guide. I looked into it. I did the due diligence a couple years ago. Looked at getting insurance and what I'd have to do, and talked to some companies about supplying me with kayaks and gear and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm too selfish. And I'm out there, I want to catch my own damn fish.
Lonnie Payne asks, what is the biggest bass that you have ever caught?
22 inches is the biggest one I ever caught. Got it on a trout magnet and 2-pound test line.
Oh, wow.
We got another donation up here.
All right.
Chris Peters, $9.99, didn't leave a comment. Well, Chris, thank you for the donation. I'll get my moderator over here. If he doesn't do a half-assed job, if you comment later, we'll try to answer it. He's getting fired for us now.
Bank Fishing TV, speaking of trout, this is, have you ever trout fished?
I haven't. That's on the to-do list. We got good trout fishing here in the area, but I won't ever go out there after them. They make good bait from what I'm hearing, but.
SM Outdoors TV, what's the best place to fish during winter, in ponds or small lakes?
I'd go small lakes. I mean, in your ponds, you're going to have channel cats. And, of course, that could be too, depending on where you live, but your lakes are going to have your flatheads and your blues if you have them there in your area. So I'd go to the bigger water.
John Dode asks, do you have any invasive species in the Tennessee River?
We got Asian carp coming. They are making their way up through the river system. So at some point in time, they're gonna be here. As far as other invasive species, I know when I go fish Melton Hill, they've got some zebra mussels that they've got warning signs up them out, but I don't really know. Eric, you might be able to answer that question better. Do you know of any?
Well, Pro Neighbor's here too. He's pretty schooled in the biology of kind of what we look at when we're fishing. But Kentucky Lake has a serious problem, to the degree that the state of Tennessee has, allocated some significant money, like millions of dollars through state legislation, to try to figure out exactly what to do. And the lock systems is kind of where the problem is, because you have to allow the boats to lock through. And then these things are so robust, and I think they breed pretty much year-round. There's not a specific spawning season. But I know that there's plans in place to try to mitigate them to move upriver. But to your point, I think eventually they'll go as far as they can. I think they did the same thing on the Mississippi River. So
there you go. He's the man with all the answers, folks.
I've got Tim Finney. Have you ever used shrimp for bait?
No, I don't use that store-bought stuff much. I'll use chicken breast occasionally if I'm after small fish, but otherwise I'll stick with the freshest native species I can get.
I had a couple questions. This one is specifically from Woodburger, but wanting to know what you wear when it's cold outside. Do you have a specific go-to outerwear piece?
Well, if I was responsible, I'd get me a dry suit, but I'm too cheap for that. Them things are a few $100s. So I dress in layers. I got me a pair of bibs. They used to be waterproof. They ain't no more, as we found out here on Del Hollow last week. But I put on layers. I got me some thermals, like a base layer, then I'll put on fleece over that, and then my coveralls over that. And most of the time, that's enough to keep me warm, especially if I got my propane heater out there with me.
Mike Vaughn asks, have you thought about dragging baits with planer boards? I know that that is a really successful technique.
Yeah, I actually have some videos on my channel of me using planer boards. It's a struggle in the kayak. I went over and fished with Zach Royce back in, I believe it was 2017, just because I wanted to learn about planer board fishing. But the kayak, the problem is them planer boards have a lot of drag resistance. And then when you catch a fish, even if it's 10, 15 pounds, it's going to spin the kayak. It's going to pull you out, and then your boards are just getting spun around. So if you've got an electric motor, like a bow mount that will hold that line for you, it's a lot easier. Now, like my Old Town kayak with the Minn Kota motor, I can pull boards with it. It's just not a technique that I like doing. I'm a simple man, and it's a lot of work to put out them planer boards. So we got more donations coming in, Eric.
All right.
Hi, my name is Boo Boo. $4.99.
Well, I've got Ramiro Gonzalez. How's the garden going? Team up with Richard Jean for a fishing trip.
Well, the garden's dead right now. I'm waiting till spring to plant it. Richard Jean, I reached out to him, I guess probably 2 years ago, never heard back from him. So I don't think he has any interest in fishing with me. But I'd love to go with him. He seems like a cool dude. I watched some of his videos there, but I don't think that'll ever happen.
So Greg K, and I really can't wait to hear the answer here. What does having a kayak trailer mean to you? I know it means a lot to me.
Man, as far as kayak accessories go, that trailer, man, well, first off, it saves you back. I mean, these kayaks, they break your back. They're all over 100 pounds these days. But that kayak trailer, when I was hauling my kayak on the car, I'd get about 22 miles to the gallon in my little Honda. When I started hauling it with the trailer, I was getting 32 miles a gallon. So to 10 miles an hour or 10 miles per gallon, I mean, gas savings over the course of time, man, that trailer, it pays me to use it at this point. So that's an awesome accessory. We got this, you're missing these super chats now, Eric. Hi, my name is Boo Boo.
I don't see the super chats.
What did he say? I done lost it. Hi, my name is Boo Boo. Ask me a question. They give me $4.99 and I've lost the question. Hi, my name is Boo Boo. I'm sorry. We've got a moderator over here. When we fire him tonight, you get to fire him.
First time doing this, so you need to just relax, everybody.
Thank you for the donation. I'm sorry I missed your question. He's fired here in about 30 minutes to an hour.
There you go. Oh, boy.
Oh, it says, Jared over here says, he asked if you ever hunt or just fish. I'm just fishing. That's just, I never really got into the whole hunting deal. Got into bow fishing for a while. Well, I never got into the hunting. And thank you again for the donation. I'm sorry about my moderator here.
Okay, Elite GB. I don't have any money for you to read my comment, but Justin, what depth is your go-to when water temps are about 56 degrees?
Well, you don't need money around here to get your comment read. You just need a
Fact,
moderator.
Jack.
You need a moderator
that's
that's worth a damn. Man, that's a tough, because once our water tips get around 60 degrees right there above or below, fish could be anywhere. They could be super deep. They could be up in the backwaters. So it's tough. You can catch them a little bit everywhere. So the way I like to fish, y'all, is I like to go out and hit places that I feel like I could get a fish year round. And that's your creek mouths, your deeper points, and your main channel edges. That's where I spend, if you watch my videos regularly, that's where I spend the bulk of my time. And it don't matter season, water temp, water conditions, you're generally going to get some fish in them areas there. So we got another one up here before you miss it, Eric.
I got it, this one, Dakota Dog.
There it is.
Do you prefer to cut your bait up or keep it alive on the hook?
Well, I cut it up most of the time. I need to do live bait more often. It's just a hassle to deal with in the kayak. The size of the bait tank that I could use in the kayak is just so limited. So I generally use cut bait, but I'm hoping this year, I was telling Eric, I redid my bait tank earlier today so I can be able to bring water in from the river with an outflow on it and be constantly circulating in fresh water versus having the closed system that I've used in years past. So I think I'm going to be using more live bait this year. But to answer your question, cut bait, definitely. And thank you for the donation.
This could be the most important question of the night.
Oh, here we go.
From Holly Tridell of CNC
Outdoors.
Gosh. Do you think you can outfish your moderator for bass?
No. Listen, when we went down there to Del Holla, he didn't care about winning. He didn't care about getting the money. He just wanted to beat me. That's when you know you've made it, folks.
That's not true. That's not true. I was going to quit if I didn't beat him.
Hey, I got a question for her, Eric.
Okay.
Can I get a discount down there at your store?
We know the answer to that. Oh, boy.
CNC Outdoors, y'all. There's a plug for Holly. I'm going to help her out because it's Christmas. Best kayak tackle store in all of Knoxville. That could be a lie, but I'm going to say it, so it's the truth.
Here is from Pork and Beans.
Pork and Beans.
Is Catfish...
Love the name.
Is Catfish Dave good or bad luck?
He must be pretty good luck because he catches a lot of big fish and he's always on the bait, so he's got some luck.
Nikki Hayes asked if you have caught a muskie yet. What would you use for bait to catch one of those? Happy fishing, everyone. It's almost Friday. All right.
Well, hi, Nikki. Thank you for the comment there. I have caught one muskie in my life. Caught it on a whopper plopper. I was fishing with my friend Corey, has a Tennessee Valley Muskie Authority guide service, and got it on a whopper plopper. As far as targeting them regularly, your guess is as good as mine. I am not a muskie fisherman.
Jason Petrakis, hey brother, how you doing? How do you decide how deep you start your day? Seems like you're never fishing less than 30 feet deep.
Well, I look for the deepest structure wherever I'm at. So like when you'll hear me talking about like fishing a deep point, I'll go to the tip of it. So that may be 35 foot, it may be 50 feet, depending on the particular point. Same thing with the creek mouth. You know, out here on these reservoirs, that may be 25 feet deep. It could be 60 feet deep. It just kind of depends. So I'm looking for that deep structure. I don't really care so much about the depth. I just want the deepest structure in whatever part of the river that I'm on.
So, Danny Stice, love the channel. Thanks for your tips. I've had great luck at Kerr Lake in North Carolina. Do you drink beer?
No, Kerr Lake, first off, man, that's an awesome fishery. That's another one I'm hoping to fish soon. I am not a beer drinker at all. I'm not, I'm pretty straight edge. If I'm in a social situation, I'll get something to hold in my hand, but no, I'm more of a Pepsi kind of guy. I just lost viewers on that statement right there. I lost half my audience.
Hey, I drink beer. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, one of us here does.
All right, let's see. River catfishing, chicken as a joke or skipjack as a joke. So I'm not sure.
Everybody's on me about this damn chicken
place.
place.
I know we had to get some chicken dialogue going.
God, these chicken users, they something else. You know, these guys, y'all, they posting.
Whoa.
I'm going on a soapbox here, Eric.
No, wait a second. Well, let's change.
All right. He's going to get me off my, I was about to go on a rant there, y'all. He's getting me back on.
You're going to go to rant on this, and this is a little off topic. Cooper Cromwell, what do you think about the Tennessee Volunteers football team?
Oh, my gosh. I'd rather talk about chicken for bait than a Tennessee football program.
Oh, Lord.
I've started calling Garantano Guantanamo because I feel like I'm getting tortured every time I watch him play. Hopefully we're going to get a new coach here, but God knows we'll hire one just as bad.
The chicken cavalry is
oh, the chicken. Yeah, you're going to get 86 comments on chicken now.
That.
I done gone and done it on the chicken.
How do you feel, this is Catfishing is Life, how do you feel about fishing with bluegill? I use them a lot and have good luck. How about you?
I don't really like them, but that's just because of where I fish. I've used them a lot. They're easy to get here, and I love fishing for them. So I've tried to make it work, but man, I could probably count on one hand how many good fish I have gotten on bluegill through the years. It just don't perform as well here as like skipjack or shad or white bass. But some places, some parts of the country, bluegill perform really well. It just kind of depends on your particular body of water.
So Zach Daimler, have you ever fished or will you ever fish the Missouri River or the Mississippi River?
I have not on either one, but I hope to make it to both someday. Get with the program here, Rick. Man, you got thousands of comments coming in here, and you can't keep up.
I see this.
My God, what am I paying you?
Okay, have you ever? This is fishing with squirrel. If you ever fish Santee Cooper again, would you fish shallow or try to fish deeper?
Both. I went over there when I went over there for my pre-fishing days for that tournament. I was hell bent on doing things my way and fishing deeper. And there's some good depths out there, especially to get on Lake Moultrie down there on the lower end. I'd love to fish those a little bit more when I had time, but you can't deny the shallow water fishing over there. I mean, I was pulling out them huge fish and water barely deep enough to cover their backs. So I'd fish both if I went back.
We got a donation from Caleb Gray.
Boom!
$14.99. Love your channel.
Yes, Caleb, thank you.
Also a catfisherman. If you aren't familiar with them, the Salty Stage Revo Abu Garcia is an awesome reel for catfishing, 7:1-to-1 ratio. Thanks for that comment, and thanks for the donation.
Yeah, thank you, Caleb. I appreciate the comment and donation, and I'll check out those reels, man.
Outstanding. Can you recommend a place to catch skipjack in central Georgia? That comes from Daryl Snare.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if you've got skipjack down there. That'd be probably a question for your local game warden. If you do have them there, seasonally it's going to change. Here in the spring, they'll make their run to spawn, and so they'll get trapped at the dams as they go upriver. So that's a good spot for them. If you've got a power plant, like a steam plant or nuclear, in your area, if the water's warmer, like a warm water discharge, they'll be there in the winter. Spring and fall here, you'll get them early spring before they spawn. You'll get them in the backwater creeks. In the fall, you'll get them backwater creeks here. So I just look till you find them, man, but I don't even know if you got them there.
Scott Price asked, have you ever had any luck in smaller, shallow rivers?
I don't ever fish them. So I guess no, the answer, no, I haven't, because I don't ever fish them. Tactical, he ain't tactical kayak angler anymore. It's Float Fish Adventure. He's your guy to go to on that on YouTube. He fishes up in Iowa, smaller, fast-flowing rivers, catches a lot of big flatheads out there. He's the expert on that.
Mitch Onda, do you ever find yourself in a situation where you would use a J hook over a circle hook?
No, I don't. the way I fish, I'm a catch and release guy, and those circle hooks, you just don't gut hook very many fish. So because I'm not feeling my baits, like holding my rods, I guess I should say, I keep them in the rod holders. I don't have a need for J hook. If I ever did any bumping or something like that, I'd use a J hook, but otherwise, no.
This is a great question from Bart Sewell. How do you deal with the thermocline in the winter?
Honestly, I don't even know. Do we get a thermocline here in the winter? We normally got enough flow. Our current flow's pretty
When is it? Summer.
summer. Yeah, summertime we'll get.
Turnover in the fall.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, in the summer months, we'll get that thermocline on the lower end of the reservoirs when they're not generating much, but the upper parts, usually where I'll fish in the summer months anyway, and so we got enough flow there. I don't usually deal with the thermocline, but I'd fish above it if I did.
So Jared O asked, do you spend much time watching YouTube, and if so, what is your favorite channels?
I don't spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos. I've got some friends that I'll watch, like Trout Magnet Man, Randy Gold. He's probably the best all-around fisherman that I know. I mean, that man catches thousands of fish of all species on the ultralight. So I got a lot of respect for him. I've become a huge fan of Mike Baker and his channel. I mentioned I'm going to try to get out there with him here next year. He's an excellent crappie fisherman, and he's a good communicator. Watch Catfish Dave. My favorite kayak fishing channel is probably ND Yak Angler. I think his videos are phenomenal. The shots he gets. He fishes, I think he's up in Minnesota or North Dakota or somewhere up there up north. I don't even fish for pike, but I'll watch his videos. I watch Richard Jean some too, even though he don't want to fish with me.
So Aiden Murray asks, have you ever went saltwater fishing? If so, what's your biggest saltwater catch?
Yeah, my biggest saltwater catch is tarpon. I went down there in Puerto Rico a few years ago on vacation and did a trip there, but I haven't done too much saltwater fishing. Sailfish is #1 fish on my bucket list, so I'm going to hopefully make it to South Florida at some point and mark that off the list. But
so Coach Shane asks, can we interview you on a local radio station in Arkansas? You are a legend.
A legend in Arkansas. Normally this is where I'd make a football joke, but since y'all beat us there recently, I can't. But no, I might be interested in doing a radio program. I just, when you live, there ain't no takebacks, and sometimes I cuss too much to be live. So I might get y'all fined out there. The FCC, is that who controls the radio? Y'all might end up with a fine after. Somebody's giving me money up here.
Big money!
Kayak Mike, $40, man. Y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and plug him on here. He runs the Kayaks and Cats tournament group now, and he's got it going on there. Monthly tournament. Let me read his comment here first. Okay, a shameless plug amount donated here. Here's the amount for our tournament Saturday. Cough, cough. Kayaks and Cats on Fishing Chaos. Hope you join us again and other future events. Looking forward to the crap I'll get for this. Yeah, I'm definitely going to give you crap, but by God, you bought yourself some advertisement on here, so I'll plug you, my man. But Kayaks and Cats, guys, on Facebook there. He's got a new tournament group. I kind of had some issues with that other tournament group who won't get any more advertisement from me on this channel. Hell with them. But Kayak Mike here has started a new group. He's got some nationwide tournaments, some online events. He's also got some weekend tournaments as well. And then in 2021, he has teamed up with some established tournaments like the Bluegrass Bash, and there's another one I can't remember the name of. Sorry, Kayak Mike. But he's going to be running the kayak division of those tournaments. So they're running their tournaments on an app called Fishing Chaos. Most of what you've seen in my videos has been Tourney X. They rape us in fees. I don't pull no punches with Tourney X because it's $5 per person, and that kills the small tournaments. If you got a $20 entry fee and you're taking $5 to pay an app, ridiculous. Fishing Chaos, it doesn't have all the features just yet, but you can pay 40 some odd dollars one time for the year, and then they don't deduct any more money out. So I think that app has a lot of potential, and I'm hoping to see a lot more tournaments start using it. But Boy, how many people am I pissing off here tonight, Eric?
I-
But there's
you
your
know,
plug,
you're
Kayak
doing
Mike,
great.
and thank you again for the money.
Doing a great job. Got a couple more donations. One from Marcus Schaefer. Hey, keep it up. Look forward to your videos. Of $5. Thank you, Marcus.
Hey, thank you, Marcus. Thank you for that.
And then
Thanks for watching the channel, Marcus.
I think you just got rid of one that we wanted.
Oh, no.
Here we go. Photo Bob with a $4.99 donation. My home lake's main channel drops to 70 and even 100 feet. Would you fish that deep or focus on the secondary creek channels that are shallower?
Both. I'd fish both. I mean, there's no depth that's too deep for catfish. If there's oxygen there and if there's food there, they will be there. When I went down to Nickajack there and fished with my friend Daniel, gosh, I guess it's about a month ago now, we were fishing 110 feet deep down there. So I'd fish it, but definitely if you can put yourself, when you mentioned those was the secondary feeding areas or whatever, if you can put yourself between where a fish lives and where he's going to feed, you're going to catch fish. But definitely fish. Don't be afraid to try those deeper depths.
Daniel Binge, would you go Goliath grouper fishing in your kayak?
I'd go for a swim, but I'd sure try it. Sounds like a good time. Get with the program here, Eric. We got time is money.
Hey. Ricky Smith. Hey, Justin, different subject, but what is your take on Sasquatch? Have you watched Nightcaller's Bigfoot Radio on YouTube?
Well, I have not watched that channel that you mentioned, but one of my good friends on YouTube is Steve Sharon with Adventure Outdoors. And you talk about somebody who is obsessed with Sasquatch. That man, he is a Bigfoot expert. So that's your resource if you want to know more about a Sasquatch.
So Travis Buford, what brand model of cameras do you use?
I use Sony action cams. I've got old cameras, guys. My cameras are a few years old. I've got an AS15 model and an AS30. The guy I just mentioned, Steve Sharon, he sent me his old cameras, which is the same model, but it's much newer. It's AS100, I think, or 50. I haven't put them into action yet, but I'm a Sony guy. Everybody I know has got GoPros. They've had problems, and the only issue I've had with my Sonys is just the fact that they overheat when it's 100 degrees outside.
Keith Hensley says, hi, Justin. Do you ever run
Keith, my man.
And there you go. Do you ever run into dangerous situations on the water, such as confrontations from other boaters?
No, not really. I mean, I have bass fishermen piss me off sometimes out there. I had one bass boater one time. I can't say I was tied off to a buoy because I don't think you can do that. I will say I was anchored in front of a buoy. And he was watching the shore coming full speed, and I thought he was going to hit me because he was never looking ahead. He was going to take me and that buoy out. But no, I keep it pretty low key out there because I don't want to have to shoot somebody.
So Brad Crum, Vice Mayor of Cott County, Newport, Tennessee, the pride of Newport.
This guy's got a reputation here.
Asked, will catfish eat trout? Asking for a friend.
You bet your ass they will. You bet they will. They'll eat bass too.
Excuse me, sorry about that. I've got Ricky Smith. When is the next garage sale?
Good question. YouTube, they're a bunch of communists on YouTube. My last yard sale, YouTube started flagging people's comments as spam when they would leave the email address for like PayPal invoices and stuff. So I can't do yard sales on YouTube anymore, but I'm going to try to figure out something because I do have some stuff accumulating.
Tom N asked if you run the same rig when you're fishing from the shore.
I do. Yeah, I throw a Carolina rig from the shore. I just go with a little bit shorter leader so it casts better. And
then I've got Cooper Cromwell. Is a medium powered rod good for catfish?
What size of catfish would be the better question. If you're fishing for, smaller channel cats, medium action's fine. I use medium heavy ugly sticks, which is kind of more of a medium to medium heavy action. They're a little bit lighter action than most people would use, but you can, depending on the size.
Okay, Karen Van Domelin, love your videos. Do you prefer upper or lower Melton Hill fishing?
Lower. Both is good for different things, but I live closer to the lower end, so that's typically where I go.
Michael Chomley, what conditions should I be looking for when bank fishing around Knoxville this time of year?
Well, your backwater creeks are good this time of year, and there's a lot of access to it, especially now that the water's down. You can park your car and be able to walk the shoreline a lot of places. But, those areas up there, Concord and Carl Cowan, those are really good. In Carl Cowan, too, you can hit the main channel ledge this time of year with the water being down out there.
TC, do you subscribe to Hook, Line, and Chill? If so, thoughts?
I know who they are. I'm not subscribed to them or anything. I think they got a damn good channel. Taking a woman with you every time you go out, that's a good idea. If I could get some women to go out there with me, I'd make some more money at this. Eric ain't gonna look good in no bikini over here. Y'all don't want to see that.
That is a true statement. Brad Crum again. Do you think Eric could break an ugly stick under normal fishing conditions?
I think he could. I won't put nothing past Eric. He'd probably be throwing a rat too when he broke it.
That's right. Okay, Ricky Smith, when you striper fish from your kayak, what is a good plug to use?
My favorite plug that I troll with for them stripers is an AC plug. It's a old wooden plug. I've got the 8-inch models and I've got the 12-inch models, and they're just hand carved wooden plugs, big treble hooks, and they're jointed. And they got a sassy shad tail on the end of them, and I've caught some really good stripers trolling them things. They're good at that kayak trolling speed. Your 2.5, 3 mile an hour. They're perfect for that. They're kind of expensive, like $40, but they're really good plugs for that.
Marcus Schaefer, mono or braid?
Both. I like braid for suspend fishing. But I've been using all mono because I get tired of answering questions about why I'm using this reel with braid and then why I'm using this one mono. So I've tried to simplify everything. And because I like mono from the bank, just due to the abrasion resistance, I have switched everything over to mono. But braid is definitely my preference for suspend fishing. Jim
Hughes asks, I wonder what you talk about when you make a video you do not post.
Well, that's first off, there's probably not any fish caught in it. Now, the video that I just filmed on Tuesday that you're not going to see, I spent probably 20 minutes on a tirade about Torqeedo, because I have a Torqeedo motor on my Hobie kayak, which is a complete piece of SHIT. I've had it 2.5 years. It's tore up 4 times, and so that's why you're not going to see that video from Tuesday's trip, because it broke down again, and I was forced to either paddle that Hobie Pro Angler or fish close to the launch, and I didn't do very good. So, yeah, you missed out on that 20-minute rant, but hell with Torqeedo. If Torqeedo's watching right now, shame on you for your lousy products.
Is Trilene big game 50-pound line good?
Yeah, it is. I think so. I mean, that's what I use, the 40-pound, but I use Trilene big game.
So, Myron High, do you fish the Cumberland River at all?
I don't. It's out in Middle Tennessee, fairly close to me, about 2 hours away, but I don't ever get out there.
Well, we should have went last weekend.
By gosh, we should have. We couldn't catch nothing on Dale Hollis. We should have went to the Cumberland.
Scott Rose, when are you going to come and fish Cherokee?
I don't know. There's 2 tournaments scheduled for the same day on Cherokee next month, and I'm probably going to fish the Watts Bar tournament. So I don't know if I'll even make it up there to Cherokee this year. I don't ever do any catfishing up there. It's one of the places, it's a far enough drive away that I'm not motivated to go when I have Fort Loudon and Watts Bar with a few minutes away from me.
Just got a really nice comment from Tom N. I watch 20 different channels and none compares to the knowledge I've gained from you. I'll donate big when we recover from all this craziness. I think that's a very nice comment. Well,
thank you very much. And don't feel like you have to donate anything. Listen, these people have donated tonight is more than enough, and I make money off the ad revenue. If you sit through my videos and watch them stinking advertisements, you have done more than enough to help me out on this channel. But thank you very much.
Another nice comment. Antoine Jones, you are the GOAT when it comes to catfishing. Much love from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. May God bless you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Recently.
Oh my gosh. You're going to get him started on the goats. Go ahead and tell him the goat story. You saw two damn goats.
The picture, well, they were big goats, billy goats.
One of them's name was Oreo, right?
Well, apparently they're a staple on Del Hollow Lake for the locals, and they'll get on boats and eat and whatnot. So they weren't scared of me, but I was a little nerved by these two large goats kind of getting close.
I've heard that story 12 times this week, y'all. 12 times. Every waitress we saw, every restaurant we went to, heard the damn goat story.
All right, Carl Smith says, do you ever fish in Guntersville or South Saudi area of the Tennessee River?
I don't, but I'm planning on it. I want to get down to Guntersville this year for the flathead bite there. That's on my to-do list this spring, so I hope to make it down there.
And it looks like we've got a fan that would like a blooper reel from Justin in 2020. Is that something in the works?
I need to do something like that. I don't, somebody like me, Eric would be the better one for the blooper reel because
that's a fact.
I don't make mistakes out there. Yeah. No, I just posted a pretty bad blooper in a recent video where I launched my kayak and didn't have the damn rope attached to it. Sent it out there in the middle of the dang river. I need to put together a blooper video at some point in time.
So Tristan Martin basically says blue catfish, flathead channel, or bullhead. And to that question, there was another question earlier, I kind of lost track of it, asking about bullheads being used for bait.
Okay. I don't use bullheads for bait. We just don't have a big population of them here in this area. They are in certain places, but just not enough to be a bait that I want to fool with. But they do make an excellent flathead bait in certain parts of the country, from what I hear.
So John Dode asks, how mad do you get when you snag your cast net?
Oh gosh. Boy, that's beep, 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 beep. That's what you're gonna hear if I was filming and I snag my cast net. That and snagging an anchor sets me off just about as much as I could be set off without killing somebody.
Here's a comment I'd like to hear your thoughts on. Randy Wilson says, I think a $100 trolling motor is as good as a Torpedo.
Quality-wise, it's better than a Torpedo. Because a Torpedo, it's lightweight, it's super fast, but if it can't stay running, what the hell good is it? 4 times in 2.5 years, that Torpedo has broke down on me. And now my warranty's up, so it's $700 to replace that motor pylon. Hell with it. I'm going to part the damn thing out. But yes, your $100 trolling motor, absolutely correct.
So we got a couple of breakfast questions here. Bullish Bear Trader, what did you eat for breakfast? And then Coach Shane says, how do you have your eggs and bacon?
I'm a scrambled egg kind of guy. What did I have for breakfast today? I didn't have breakfast today. I was working on my bait tank today, so I skipped breakfast. I went to Hardee's for lunch because I had a coupon. The line was around the building because the Hardee's in Lenore City is terrible. They slow out there, so I ended up going Taco Bell today. That was my breakfast / lunch.
So Cody Logan has a content suggestion. Eric versus Justin, catfishing tournament, loser jumps in the river in January. So let me tell you something, Cody. No thank you, unless he would agree to a bass one-on-one event, because I think we would both be in our swim trunks. Well,
the question is, in this bass tournament, can I use live bait? If I can use live bait, it's on.
You can use whatever you want, because you need it.
That's the truth.
Okay, here's a great question from Johnny Ringo. How long can you fish in your kayak before it gets uncomfortable?
Well, the older I get, the less time I can spend out there. The kayaks I have now have a Hobie Pro Angler, and I've got the Old Town Sportsman Autopilot, and both of them have really good seats that I can raise myself up, so I can go, 6 hours pretty easily out there in them kayaks. But that's why I got rid of my Hobie Outback, is because that low seating position, the older I get, I just couldn't do very long trips anymore. So, yeah.
Hey, Anthony
sucks getting old, man.
Anthony Moore obviously has asked this more than once, and I've seen it, and I apologize for missing it. He says, come on, Eric, man, just want to know if Justin's going to the Catfish conference.
No, man, I don't have any plans to go up there at the present time. Honestly, I don't think a Catfish conference is going to happen with all the pandemic stuff going on, because it's scheduled for February. And Kentucky right now, I mean, me and Eric was up there last week fishing Del Hollow, we couldn't even go in a restaurant up there. It's shut down. So I don't know how that event's going to happen. I do have a company that's potentially wanting to bring me up there in like me and some other YouTubers in like a meet and greet type deal where you would pay money and there would be a catered lunch, so you'd get your lunch and we would just have some one-on-one time type deal. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. This virus stuff, it's hard to plan anything. But I don't know if anybody'd have any interest in having lunch with me anyhow.
Me either.
Yeah, I know. Says the guy who fixed me a steak here tonight before this live stream started.
Okay, Myron High, is there any commercial net fishing around the areas you normally fish?
No, not well. They cannot commercially fish for catfish here due to our contamination. Now, they can get out there and go for like carp and drum and stuff, the other trash fish for like dog food facilities and stuff, but I don't ever see that stuff. You hear about the pay lakers coming down, but that's middle of the night stuff. That ain't stuff you're gonna see out there during the daylight hours.
So Palmetto Cats, we never see you eating boat snacks. Do you not eat while you're on the water?
Oh, I eat out there. I eat good while I'm on the water, but the thing is, I catch too many damn fish. Some of these YouTubers, they filming themselves out there eating lunch and driving to the boat ramp, and they're filming birds that fly by, and I'm like, man, if I put all that B-roll in there, my videos would be 3 hours long. I just catch too many damn fish. Boy, that'll piss some of them off, won't it, there, Eric?
So this is a little off topic on the bass fishing side of the spectrum. Can you give the pride of Maryville, Tennessee, Jordan Marshall tips on getting a YouTube channel started? That he has a knack for creating epic content that needs to be shared.
My man, is he really the pride of Maryville?
Well,
that's a big city over there now. He's the pride.
He got a trophy from the mayor up there in Sevierville. He was smallmouth king this summer. Yeah.
A trophy from the mayor.
Yeah.
Did he get the key to the city?
Well, I think he has that. I think he drives around with that actually.
Well, by God. Well, Jordan, I'm gonna tell you, I'm honored to know you. I hope I can get my picture with you next time I see you. Getting a channel, man, is hard to get seen these days. That's the number one thing. So I would try to crank out the content, be yourself, and biggest thing, people use YouTube as a search engine. They are going on YouTube to try to learn something. That's typically how they're going to find your videos, and they're going to keep coming back to you because they identify with you, something in your personality, whatever. So you're an excellent, excellent bass fisherman. You kick all these guys' ass all the time. Make videos doing that and tell the audience how you're doing it, show them what you're using, and I think your channel could do really well doing that. Good luck to you. Pride of Maryville, my man.
Really nice comment from Stephen Banks. Your videos have made this COVID-19 year a lot easier to deal with. Got me into fishing for the first time in 40 years.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm glad you got back into fishing.
Have you ever had a big fish put you in the water off the kayak? Mike Emery.
Nope. I hope someday it happens. I hope I hook into one big enough to do it. Maybe if I go down there Goliath grouper fishing in the kayak, that probably will happen.
TC says he loves your channel. Do you ever fish waters where you keep and eat the catfish?
No, I don't. All the places around here is contaminated, and I'm not much of a fish eater anyway. I eat cows, not fish.
We got a nice donation from Deanna Phillips.
Hey.
She says if there's a meet and greet, she'd love to see you all the way from Oklahoma.
Hey, well, thank you, Deanna. Thank you again for the second donation tonight. Man, Deanna loads me up. She fills my pockets.
Nice. Way to go, Deanna.
That's a long drive to go to Kentucky from Oklahoma.
So Marcus Schaefer asks, how many Asian carp have hit you in the head? And I want to answer this one because I nearly had my head taken off at Kentucky Lake in a bass fishing tournament.
Really?
And it was unnerving because, it was probably a 20-pound fish. And, you're fishing in lily pads and shallow water. And from what I gather, their instinct is to go straight up. And if they're in shallow water, they go, literally out of the water. And Joe G was with me. And, it was like, let's get the hell out of here. we made an early exit for Kentucky Lake. We weren't catching any fish. Didn't do incredibly well in that tournament. But we that's something I hope that they're able to keep those out of the Nickajack, Chick, and Watts Bar and Loudon systems in a big way, because they're just no fun, and they wreak havoc on the ecosystem. And the dynamic of Kentucky Lake used to be a phenomenal bass fishery, and now it's not. And the only thing that everybody can kind of point to is this Asian carp problem.
There you go, folks. Asian carp expert here.
This is a great question from Richard 31781. How long can you freeze fish for bait until they are useless?
Well, it kind of depends on how you freeze them. To me personally, I don't go to any extra lengths. I wrap my skipjack in aluminum foil and put them in the freezer, and they're good for 6 months or so. They're fine. If you vacuum seal them, they'll last a lot longer than that. So it really just comes down to your prep work. As far as different types of baits, skipjack's the only bait I freeze. Everything else is just shad gets real mushy. White bass, bluegill, they just don't seem to do very good once they've been frozen. But skipjack as a frozen bait works well and keeps well.
So Travis Buford asks, do you have an issue with the spotlight feature on your trolling motor? I can't stand the noise.
Yes, yes. And honestly, that's my biggest complaint with that kayak, the Old Town kayak with the Minn Kota. There's something with the frequency when it's in a GPS mode, spot lock, course heading, whatever. It's beep, 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 non-stop. And some people can hear it and some can't. My dad, for instance, shout out to my dad, he's watching right now. He has some hearing loss. He cannot hear that beeping. It drives me insane out there. And, you know, when I first got that kayak, I was in love with it because of all the features. But as more time has went on, that noise and the fact it's so slow, I compare it to that hot girl you start dating. You know, she's super hot and your hormones are firing on all cylinders and you're thinking about one thing, right? And so she's amazing. But a month into it, you start to realize all the things you hate about her. And that's kind of where I'm at with the Old Town. It's a great kayak. I think the second, third, fourth generation is going to be amazing. But this first one, how it made it through production with that beeping noise, that frequency, I don't understand it.
We got a Merry Christmas and $4.99 from Chunky Catfish.
Hey, my man, Elstan, thank you for the donation. Merry Christmas to you.
And then Mason Brigman asks, do you all plan to do a catfishing tournament anytime soon?
I don't have any plans to be in another catfishing tournament, but that Kayaks and Cats group that I mentioned there earlier, you can check them out on Facebook. I think they got a tournament coming up this weekend, actually.
Here's a interesting question. Daniel Bingy or Binge, I'm sorry if I butchered that. McDonald's sweet tea or Bojangles sweet tea?
Boy, I'm gonna lose my audience right here, Eric. I'm born and raised in Tennessee. Everybody around here is all about that sweet tea. I'm not a tea drinker. I can't stand it. I don't drink tea. There goes half my. I just lost my channel right there.
You don't always have to tell the truth. So Redwood Style, I don't believe we've heard from Redwood Style this evening. He just got his first kayak, a Perception Outlaw, 11.5 foot. What would you suggest for me to do first? Never been on a kayak.
Well, first thing I'd suggest is make sure you got your PFD on. But I'd take that kayak out before you start fishing in it. Just take it out, get a feel for it, and before you mount anything, get some seat time on the water and figure out where you want to put things. A lot of people, they buy a kayak, immediately go home and start rigging it out. Then they get out on the water and they can't paddle the thing because their rod holders are in their way, or they've got their fish finder on the side that they're trying to cast on. So get out there, get some seat time in it, and put some thought into where you want to put stuff.
We got a $5 gift from
Heck
Kelly
yeah.
Boss. Just love you to death, Justin. Thank you, Kelly.
Kelly, I love you too. How about that? Thank you for the donation.
Nothing but love tonight. So Daniel Strominski, hey Justin, longtime watcher, first time chiming in. Love your videos. Is there a budget-minded fish finder that you've used in the past you would recommend for a small boat?
Well, you know, when I started this channel, I was using a Lowrance. Gosh, I don't even remember the name of it. It was a black and white unit. Showed me the depth, the speed, and the water temperature. And that's all I really needed. I would use the Navionics app on my phone in conjunction with that graph. But heck, you get on eBay, you probably find you one of those for $50 or less. When I sold that thing, I think I got $50 for it. But that would get you started, and you don't need nothing real fancy. You know, that Navionics app on your phone, if your body of water has Navionics, like if it shows the contours and stuff, that's going to be more valuable to you than anything.
Mason Brigman asks, have you ever had a huge fish break a rod?
Gosh, I'm trying to think. I'm sure it's probably happened. Not my catfish rods. I've never broke a catfish rod. I'm sure I've broke a rod before, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Part of getting old, you start forgetting things.
So David Craig has a good question. Can you do a video on tying hooks on and rigging up, preparing for a fishing session?
Hold on a second. I just did remember, I did break a rod earlier this year, as a matter of fact, while I was skipjack fishing. I broke one of my Billy Westmoreland rods. So there, I was got distracted thinking about the rod. I was like, I know I broke one. And I messed another one up because I clipped the tip going under a bridge. So there's the answer to that. Now, what was the other question about the hooks?
So David Craig suggested that you do a video on tying hooks on and rigging up, prepping for when you actually go fish. Almost kind of like what I would equate to preparing for a tournament. You know, what are you doing prep-wise before you go out?
Well, that's a great video idea. It's just, in my opinion, it's been done to death on YouTube. That's the kind of crap that, I won't say their names, but there's some other catfish channels that's got five ways to tie hooks and so it's been done to death in my opinion. I go out there, I'm going fishing.
All right, moving right along. Cameron Brooks, I'm a big-time flathead chaser in Indiana. I actually have the Miami County record flathead at
Nice.
51 pounds.
Awesome.
I have to ask, what is your favorite live bait? I love my yellow bellies tossed into log jams.
I don't fish with live bait a lot, but my favorite is probably a white bass. You get a good 7-8 inch white bass. Them things, they just sit down there and they kick nonstop. You get a bluegill or a crappie, you drop them down, they tend to just want to sit there. But them white bass they'll just fight nonstop down there on that hook, and that draws in that attention. So that's probably my favorite.
So, Rye H, hey there, Kayak Catfish. I am a new catfisherman and was wondering, when does catfish season stop?
It don't. June, that's about the time right here. When they go on the beds and the nest, they get tough to catch them. But that's about the only time that fishing gets bad for blues. It's unfortunate that's the peak YouTube fishing channel time, but I just can't get on a big fish during then.
Jerry Ward, do you ever use a gizzard from a gizzard shad?
A gizzard from a gizzard shad? I cut them up, so I guess technically I am, but I'm either using them whole or live or cutting the dang things in half, usually how I use them.
So we have a Tin Cat member here, Cast to Catch. Are you competing Saturday at Chilhowie?
I plan on it. Yeah, Eric, I'm planning on going. I ain't signed up yet, but as long as it's not going to be super cold or pouring down the rain, I'll go out there and get skunked and donate you $40 entry fee. Or this man right here, he'll probably be the one that takes all our money.
Orange Phoenix Brazier says, no tea, I'm unsubscribing.
Listen, I'm almost ashamed to wear this hat this day and time. It's getting bad as a Tennessee fan. I was just waiting on that girl in Vanderbilt to beat us last week or whatever.
I think he's talking about your sweet tea comment.
Oh, I thought he was talking about the old power tea that ain't a power tea anymore. Yeah, nobody cares about the power tea.
So, I had a good one here. Oh, Daniel Zanders, what's your most memorable catch?
Probably my most memorable catch is, I guess it's 2 or 3 years ago, I accidentally caught a spoonbill, a paddlefish. That thing had a treble hook. Somebody had tried to snag it, probably up there at the dam. They're always snagging in the spring, and broke off. And it had a huge treble hook in its tail. And that thing must have just swam across my line. And that treble hook got caught in my circle hook and just kind of locked. And I reeled that thing in tail first. I got a video here on the channel of it. That's my most memorable catch for sure.
So Sabrina Shelton asks, what is a good reel to use on an ultralight rod?
Well, Randy Gold with Trout McNamara, he's the one to ask that question to, because he is up to date on all those ultralight reels. And the better quality reel you can get, the better. Now, I, for a long time, used the cheap Abu Garcia reels and whatever the $30 model, the Cardinal 100 series there at the Walmart. Those are pretty good for the money. At least they used to be. You'd get a full 1 to 2 years out of that of hard fishing. The reel I have now on my ultralight rod, which I like a lot, I was using that there in that last video there on Del Hollow. It's a Daiwa Regal LT, I believe, the 1000 model. It's around $60. I think it's $59.99 on Amazon I give for it. But it's been a pretty good reel. It's super smooth, the drag's smooth, and that's the most important thing with the reel is having a smooth drag when you're ultralight fishing.
Sinking Bait says, where do you get the one-piece ugly sticks? I can only find two-piece ugly sticks here in Ohio.
Good question. All my ugly sticks are old. I have the old model. These newer ones, people keep telling me the new ones aren't any good. I don't know if they're 1 or 2 piece, but mine are. I've got 2 of my ugly sticks are pushing 20 years old now. I got them in the early 2000s. And they keep going.
KFA made a comment about the best budget fish finder for a small boat. He recommends the Garmin Striker 4.
Okay, there you go. Garmin Striker 4 is a good option.
And then Joe Dode says, have you ever had a slow fishing trip, ready to pack up, and then boom, whopper?
Some of my best trips have been like that, honestly. I mentioned in a video earlier this year, I got that big blue cat that I'd caught 5 years and 10 days apart. The first time I caught, at least I think it's the same fish, but the first time I caught that, I had fished all day, got nothing. I had reeled in my other lines, was reeling in that last one, and it hit. And that was the only fish I caught all day, and it was monster.
The most interesting man in the world, Brian Koppel, gave us $4.99. Says, love the videos.
Hey.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much for the donation. Most interesting man in the world. Definitely more interesting than us two here tonight.
Jonathan Cochran. Justin, have you ever fished the Norris Lake?
No, I don't think I've ever been on Norse. It's been one of them places. It's, I don't know, what is it, an hour for me?
It's a lot like Del Hollow.
Yeah, it's Del. I think I'm probably going to fish a tournament up there coming up. But what is that tournament? February? January?
We've got a January tournament.
January,
Club tournament. Yeah.
I've been up there some, but as far as fishing on it, no.
All right. Okay, Becky Zimmerman says, now you've told me before you don't wear the catfish, but just an estimate, or you don't weigh the catfish, I think is what she meant. You don't weigh the catfish, but an estimate of what would you say some of the biggest catfishes you've ever caught would potentially weigh if you had to just give an estimate?
I'll say over 50 pounds. I don't touch those weight questions with a 10-foot pole because you're begging for it. You just, when you say a weight, I don't care, your scale could be calibrated down to the ounce. The internet society is going to be all over you, calling you a liar and using it as an opportunity to post their picture of their fish, saying, oh, that's not 50 pounds because this one here was 50 pounds. I hate those people. So that's why I don't weigh any fish or talk about weights.
Big money alert, $20. Painting services by Steve. I miss your videos. Are you fishing soon?
Hey, Steve, painting services by Steve. Listen, if y'all need painting services, contact Steve. Thank you for the donation, sir. I'm hoping to fish tomorrow, man. Now, whether or not I get a video, I don't know. But I'm going to try to get out there tomorrow and catch them cats. If this guy was here, was worth a damn as a guide, I'd have had a catfish video at Del Hollow last week, but he ain't worth a damn.
I'm not taking responsibility for the lack of his talent. So. Let's see here. Interesting question from Matteo Harper. I've seen a lot of videos of yours, but what do you think fights harder, a 40-pound cat or a 25-pound striper?
I'll probably go striper. Those stripers are hard pulling fish, and they will fight themselves to death. And, you know, the cat, it kind of depends. A 40-pound blue, I'd probably say the 25-pound striper. If it's a flathead, the flathead definitely.
Here's a good question from James Tarpenning. How often do you catch fish while reeling in another fish?
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. Is it like getting doubles and triples when I'm out there with multiple rods? I mean, that happens pretty frequently. If you're talking about like a fish, another fish eating the fish that I'm reeling in, That happens fairly frequently when I'm ultralight fishing. Like I'll be reeling in a bluegill and have bass coming up and trying to hit the thing. Earlier this year, I think it was in March, I had a 3-4 pound blue cat get eaten by something, and I fought that thing all the way up to the kayak, thinking I had me a whopper, and all of a sudden it just pops loose, and there's that small blue cat with bite marks all down the side of it. So it does happen.
So Josh Bullard, do you catch bigger fish in summer months or winter months?
Spring and fall is the best time for the bigger fish, really. Summer months tough because of the spawn. Winter can be really good, but it can also be really bad depending on where you're at. But the pre-spawn and then in the fall feeding up to winter, that's your best time for a monster.
So Jonathan Griffin is wondering what's the coldest temperatures you fished in?
Well, I'm a pansy in cold weather, y'all. The day like it out here today, it was like 30-something degrees, wind chill in the 20s. I wasn't going out there. So in the 30s is about as cold as I go, and I'm going to have my heater out there too.
So, let's see here. Cameron Brooks, what's your favorite hook size?
The 10-aught is probably my favorite. I use the 10-aught Mustad Demon Circle. I would use bigger, but that fine wire on the Mustad Demon Circles, that's as big as they come. It's a 10-aught size. And the rods I use, the ugly sticks being a little bit more limber. Those thicker wire hooks, I just don't get a good hook set. I like a thinner wire.
Mason Brigman, what short rod do you suggest while you're using a kayak?
Short rods. Here's the thing when you kayak fishing. You don't want necessarily a really long rod because it's hard to land fish. When you got that big butt end, you got to do something with it there when you land in a fish. So that's tough. But when you're fishing like I do with suspended baits and they're down right under the kayak, if you got your rods that are too short, like if you're using a 6-foot rod, for instance, all your line's going to be tangled every time you reel in a fish because your bait's going to be too close. So it's kind of finding that happy medium. 7 to 7.5 foot's kind of, in my opinion, the ideal length where you're getting some distance between your baits, but it's not so long a rod that you can't easily land a fish.
So I'm going to take this one from Red Lindsay. What kind of reel was that on your last video when you throw it out and it kind of whines, sounds amazing? So Shimano has come out with some reels, and I was an anti-Shimano guy for many, many years, and I've effectively been in the process of converting my entire fleet of bass fishing reels to Shimano. And I believe that this is accurate, and Justin can correct me if it's not. He saw me using that particular reel, skipping a swim jig up under docks when we were goofing around fun fishing.
True story right here.
And it's a Shimano SLX DC, and I'm kind of bouncing back between Shimano SLX DC and also the Shimano Corrado DC. There's a significant price difference in the two, and quite frankly, I don't see much performance difference. I think the kind of the go-to price for the Shimano is $189.99, and I think the Corrado is like $239 or $249. But what I like about these reels are you get into some of these reels, you got external brakes, internal brakes. It's very complicated to get them set the way that you want. Shimano's really kind of made them idiot proof. It's you put them on 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1 is perfect conditions, 2 is maybe a little wind, 3 is maybe a heavier wind, and then 4 is a setting where if you want to skip your lure, it'll allow you to skip without dealing with the backlash. And I think the DC stands for digital control. And so I'm kind of letting technology, improve my skills when I'm on the water. So I thought I'll just jump in on that.
Yeah.
We've got some more money here.
Absolutely. Listen, Eric right here, he's the man on bass fishing. He's 10 Cat Angler of the Year, so that's the guy to ask on your bass fishing questions.
Ben Bregman for $4.99 says, Justin been stuck in quarantine for the last 10 days and Power watched your videos, really enjoyed them. Keep up the good work. I'll be on the water Friday. Well, good luck on Friday, Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you for the donation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ben. Good luck, and thanks for riding out quarantine with me, man. I can't imagine how bad that had to suck watching all my videos through quarantine.
Becky Zimmerman asks, what is the hardest fighting fish you have ever caught?
Man, those tarpon were a good time. I don't know if it's the tackle we were using, but all those saltwater fish fight harder than freshwaters. But around here, stripers are the hardest fighting fish we have, pound for pound. Oh, we got another donation here.
Oh, let's see who we got.
Who's this?
$5 from Bumblebee Junction.
Hey, Bumblebee Junction. All right.
Is it true that haters are just channel catfish flopping around on the keyboard?
Yeah. Well, that's a good analogy because I hate channel cats and I hate the haters. So, yeah, I call them worse than channel cats, so behind the scenes. Thank you for the donation there.
Okay, Aaron Westerhouse, I think that's a new name. Will you ever make a video targeting striped bass, not just bumping into them and making the best of it?
Yeah, well, I've got videos on my channel of it, actually. I like to troll for them. I like to get out at night and do that. I think that's the best time to be trolling for them. But here's the problem with me doing that. When I started filming YouTube videos, my catches on them trolling trips went way down. And what I think happens is when I'm catching them fish, trolling, I'm getting them up shallow. And when I flip that light on so that you can see me, I think it spooks that school. So yes, I want to do it more because I enjoy it. It's a good time, but it's hard doing it how I want to do it and filming, if that makes sense.
So Dennis Farley with a nice comment. I'm too old and clumsy for kayak fishing, but I used
Me too.
I used your tact. Maybe this is why it worked out for him. He used your tactics on his local reservoirs in his small boat and caught a 38-inch blue this year.
Hey.
Way to go, Dennis.
Awesome, man. That's a great catch.
Becky Zimmerman asks, have you ever used the pin rival combo? And if so, do you think it's a good rod for big catfish, possibly 10 to 30 pounds?
I don't know a thing about it. I can't even touch that question.
All right, let's
Where are we at on the time? You're at an hour and a half, Eric. How you feeling?
Hey, man, as long as this money keeps coming in, I'll go all night.
He says he'll go all night. He's got some women that'll say otherwise. But.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, David Craig is asking, what is the ideal leader length? I know we talked a little bit about leader length on our fishing trip.
You know, that's a personal preference. I like a shorter leader. Some of these people will tell you they like a longer leader, especially with live bait. You know, me and Eric, I think we're talking about that down there on a trip. Some people like that longer leader for live bait, so it gets a lot of movement, can swim around. Me, I don't want that because I don't want them live baits swimming through my anchor rope. I don't want them getting them other lines. It's me being a kayak, my lines are close together, so I want them to be able to swim but restrict their movement. And for cut bait, I don't think it really matters. Just my opinion.
Joseph C asks, if you have one tip for winter fishing, what would it be? I got it. Stay warm.
Stay warm, yeah. Stay warm because that's going to keep you out on the water longer.
No hypothermia. So Michael Sticka, we kind of covered a little bit of this earlier, but he said, do you like using a kayak trailer versus a truck top or truck bed? Is it easy to launch? And I think we talked about how great it was to have a trailer.
Absolutely, the trailer. Although even versus a truck bed with like a bed extender, you're going to save your back on the trailer.
Bradley Hart, I'm going to answer your question, no. For the audience, can Tennessee beat Texas A&M on Saturday?
No chance.
No, they cannot.
Me and you could film a team and go out there and have a better chance than the current squad we got. And Brian Maurer can come after me on Twitter, by God. I don't give a crap what he says. He sucks as bad as the rest of them.
So we got some donations here from Wilson.
Hey.
99, just a thanks for all the great info. Hope you enjoy making as much as I do viewing. Thanks for the comments, Wilson.
Thank you. Thank you, Wilson. I appreciate that donation, man. I appreciate you watching more than anything.
So I believe we got a new person here. TX Texas Tiger. Outriggers save us old guys on kayaks. You ever think of using them?
I don't have a need for them. My kayaks are so stable. I don't need any outriggers.
Jason, I'm not even gonna try to butcher his last name. Ozo.
Q's silent, probably.
No, it's a C.
Oh, okay.
You want to give it a shot there?
No. Sorry, Jason.
What's the biggest flathead you have ever caught?
I don't know. You know, again, I don't weigh them. As far as measuring them, I think the biggest one I've measured was 45 inches, and I've caught several in that range. So I don't know that any one in particular stands out.
Charlie Ragland wants to know when they're going to see you on the Ohio River.
Probably never, truth be told. You know, the Ohio River, you hear all the stories of it just being fished out from the commercial guys. So I'm like, if I'm going to go somewhere and fish, it's going to have to be somewhere good. And as far as visiting Ohio, just as a tourist thing, I'll I'll keep my comments to myself because I'll piss a lot of my audience off. They from up there in Ohio, but them Cleveland Browns, I don't care what their record is, they suck.
So we got a question from one of our Tin Cat guys, Eric Burkhardt again. It says, just curious, you mentioned catfish on beds. At what water temperature do catfish spawn?
I think it's around 70 degrees, but I'll tell you, since you fish here in East Tennessee, June, sometimes depending on weather and water conditions, it's either going to be late May or could possibly be the first week or two of June. But usually the month of June here is the worst month for catfishing in the entire year.
Man, we got a donation and a question from Matt Raper. Can you recommend any good places to bank fish for blues in or around Fort Loudon Reservoir in Lenoir City?
Okay, well, Matt, thank you very much for the donation there. We got pretty good bank access there in Lenoir City. You got the Lenoir City Park over there. There's a nice point that comes off at the park. That point there where you can look and see the marina, where there's a little gazebo area there. That'll put you in some deep water that you can cast, and that's a good area right there if you can deal with the boats going in and out of that marina. You got the Tellico Canal right there where separates Fort Loudon and Tellico. That's pretty good depending on the time of year. If you'll drive a little bit further up to Concord there in Farragut, you got all those docks there at Concord there. Turkey Creek's a good area. A lot of big fish caught there.
Did you mention Lenoir City Park? I don't know.
I did,
You
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Keep up what's going on here.
Hey, I'm doing multitasking over here.
But yeah, Lenoir City Park, the Tellico Canal, Concord, Carl Cowan, up in there. A lot of good bank fishing places there.
So, let's see here. What's this? Becky Zimmerman asks, what's the strangest thing you have ever caught or snagged while fishing?
I'm trying to think if I've caught anything unusual. I probably have and can't think of it off the top of my head. I mean, that paddlefish is probably the craziest thing is just accidental catch, or the piebald catfish have been neat catches, but I don't know that I probably have and just can't think of it. Sorry, I can't give you a better answer.
So here's a nice comment from Jim Rhodes. It says, really enjoy your show. I caught a 42-pound blue last Friday at Lake St. Clair in Georgia. It's a nice area to fish, what I understand. So nice work, Jim. Kim Johnson is asking me a question. Eric, what's your favorite swim bait for winter fishing? That's a fairly general question. Really kind of depends on the body of water. I'm a big natural forage fisherman, so I want to try to match the hatch the best I can. At Dale Hollow, kind of the thing that I actually, caught some pretty decent fish on was a small 3-inch swim bait, and I'm a big proponent of having as large a hook as I can get on the smallest type bait and it still work properly, because I want a bigger hook in case I get that bigger tournament fish bite that I want. But swim baits, you go from just a laundry list of soft plastics in different sizes, and then you get into the hard baits. Bull shads are fun to throw. Trout, where I'm going on Saturday, it's full of perch and trout, so I'm going to try to mimic perch and trout because I know that's what those bass are feeding on. So,
well, you just told all the competition Saturday what you're doing.
Hey, you know what? As long as I do it better than them, that's all that matters. And I typically do. So I'm not too worried about it. Thanks for the question, Kim. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Hey, y'all want to ask him some questions? By all means, man. Have at it. He is an excellent resource for bass fishing stuff.
Let's see here. Daniel Zanders, where's your favorite place to fish for big catfish?
I really enjoyed my trip over at Santee Cooper. That's probably one of my favorite trips ever, so I'd love to go back over there. As far as here locally, I fish Fort Loudon and Watts Bar, so I'd say between the two, probably Watts Bar. My better fish are going to come out of Loudon, but Watts Bar is easier to fish just because of the less boat traffic. Nickajack's where it's at around here, though, in East Tennessee for big catfish right now.
Oh, here's a great question from Adam Stevenson. Says, Justin, I've been curious, why do you switch back to the Hobie for catfish versus the Old Town?
Well, like I kind of mentioned earlier, that Old Town, the spot lock's really annoying me with the frequency at beep, 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 beep. And now that we're into the winter time here where it's getting to that time where I'm going to be anchoring more, that beeping noise nonstop will drive you insane. Plus, right now, that spot lock turns you into the wind. And one thing I didn't think about when I got that kayak earlier in the summer was that wind blowing in your face when it's cold. I'd rather have it blowing in my back. So I get out there in the Hobie, I can use my anchor trolley and have it blowing into my back. But, you know, as far as the kayaks go, I like the Hobie better as far as the actual kayak. I just wish I had the GPS functions on the Hobie.
So, Clinton Payne wants to know if you gave me he wants to know if you gave me some of your adult minnows last weekend.
He would. I couldn't pay him to use them,
He
Clint.
did not. He did not even offer.
No,
so,
he wouldn't be caught dead using a gulp minnow, Clint. Clint's a local fisherman here. He knows what's up.
Well, there you
He
go.
catches some big catfish.
Outstanding. Until he knows what
Trying to get him to come fish the tin cat.
There you go. Absolutely. Okay, Mason Brigman, what?
Whoa, hang on a second here. Something happened.
Good Lord, have mercy.
Somebody's.
Woo! Tomahawk chop.
Tomahawk.
We just got tomahawk chop.
You've hit a 0 1 too many here.
Woo, son.
Wow, $300 tomahawk. That can't be right. Sir, if that's wrong, I'll gladly refund your money. If that's a wrong amount you've put in by accident.
Tomahawk, I will not, because I'm in charge of the money tonight. That's just a joke. We're messing with you there.
But no, seriously, Tomahawk, reach out to me after this is over. If you've made a mistake, I'll gladly refund that money. But he says, I am a 6 days per week truck driver. I can either force my fishing trips into 1 day of planning, locating, hopefully catching, and then cleaning everything up and putting it away, all while trying to get some family time, or I can let Justin take me fishing weekly. Thank you, Justin, for lots of free trips. Hey, Tomahawk, man, I understand you out there on the road. It's hard. You know, I respect the hell out of you for what you do. And thank you so much for the donation, whether it meant to be $300 or not. Thank you. But that's a huge donation, and I really appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Tomahawk. Kind of on that same line, just a really nice comment from Trevor Martin. Says, my son is 4 years old, loves your channel. He always asks me if the Catfish guy caught any big fish today. We always tune in. Love your other content too. Here's to a great 2021. Merry Christmas.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you too.
Man,
We got another donation.
I'm still in shock over that.
I know, $300. That has to be a
Circle
mistake.
Hook Productions. Just want to say thank you
Clint.
for being one of the main influences that got me into kayak fishing. I've enjoyed other sports before, but doing this is something special. I agree with that. Keep doing what you do.
Well, thank you. He shows up and gives me money every time, Eric. Every time. He's got a Hobie with the bow mount that I'm trying to get you to get so I can try it out. I want Eric gets all this stuff for free. I want him to get a bow mount so I can try it and see if I want to buy one.
Did y'all see the theme in this? Eric does a lot of stuff
Eric
for free.
does a lot of stuff for free. That's the theme.
Let's see. Jerry Ward, have you ever fished Lake Wateree in South Carolina?
Never have. I know some guys that fish over in that area, but I've never been over there.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here.
Guys, if my phone shuts off, if this live stream abruptly ends, my battery's dead. I got a message a little while ago. I was under 20%. So we may end it here abruptly. Accidental if it happens.
This is from an Eric. Hey, Justin, have you ever fished in Cumberland Lake, Kentucky? I'm from Kentucky. All he catches is carp, he says.
No, I ain't never made it out there.
Mark Bennett with a pretty comical comment. A customer of mine told an employee he caught a huge cat by a marina. When asked how long it took to land it, he responded, at least 3 cigarettes. Oh,
that's
boy.
awesome.
Here's a great question from Yabo YT. It says, Eric, what would you say about Justin if he wasn't in the room with you?
Oh, gosh. It's too vulgar for what's on here.
Probably need to put the kids to bed, and they changed the channel rating. So, no, I tell you, I met Tim through the local trail. I feel like I'm a pretty good steward of the sport, and it's a community, and I know absolutely nothing about catfishing, and even less about YouTube. So I just felt like if I could help him kind of achieve, what he's done by himself in a manner that might improve what the viewers see and try to get to more people, I'm like, you know what, that's the least I can do. Plus, I haven't stopped hearing about the fact he didn't get any good footage from Del Hollow because I didn't put him on the proper, honestly, it wasn't bait fish, so we didn't catch any bait fish
Bass
during
are bait
practice.
fish.
Yeah, I caught bass, and I caught fish every day, so let me go on record and say that. But we didn't keep any for bait, but I'm looking forward to seeing his viewership and his channel and his sponsors, continue to grow. And then I'm also, if I can help him in any way, I will. Enjoy fishing with him. He's pretty good guy for all I know. So
Yeah, well, you're lucky this is live. If you ask him off the record, you get the rated R version of that.
I've got this one of these poor Tin Cat souls thinks that they're going to beat me on Saturday. I'm not going to mention any names.
You just keep donating that money to him. He's going to keep buying me steak with it.
Here's back on track with Mason Brigman. What ring do you use when you drift fish for catfished?
What ring?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a misprint.
Got to be a misprint. I don't know.
What ring do you use?
Rig, maybe.
Rig. I bet that's extra. I can't interpret these.
Yeah. I need you to do better. You're going to get fired before this night's over. I use Carolina rig most of the time. I like a knocker rig for drift fishing. I think it's having that weight right above your hook really helps keep your baits in the strike zone. And when you get snagged, it's a lot easier to work free. But I got sick and tired of these part-time viewers asking me questions about the knocker rig all the time, even though I've done videos explaining. So I went back to the Carolina rig that everybody uses and nobody questions.
So here's a really good question from Billy. Looks like he is in Indianapolis. He asks, is it better to fish the river for catfish during the daytime or nighttime? He says it's going to be about 35 degrees. He's also wanting to know, do you like a skipjack head during the winter or a medium-sized shad? Thanks in advance.
Day and night, honestly, I don't think it really matters. You're going to get peak feeding times around dawn and sunset. And then throughout the day, I don't know why fish feed when they do, but if you can figure out when they're feeding, you'll oftentimes be able to repeat that for multiple days until the weather or water conditions change. But as for, a lot of these old timers say, yo, only catch the big ones at night. Well, I've disproved that a whole bunch of times. To answer your bait question, in the wintertime, I'm more of a shad guy in the wintertime. I don't know why it works better than skipjack, but the cold winter months is the one time where shad really outperforms other baits, around here anyway.
Man, we got another nice donation from
Heck
Craig
yeah.
Bird, $19.99.
Nice.
He said, just got another whopper at Lake Gadsden in North Carolina. Love your channel.
Well,
congrats.
Thank
Craig.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the donation. And man, Lake Gaston, there's some big ones in there. When I was over there fishing with Zach Royce, I was like, man, and he catches some big ones over there. So congrats on that catch.
Cooper Cromwell asks, are rock bluffs good in the spring for catfish?
I don't know if there's a bad time to fish a rock bluff, really. That's usually some deeper water right through there, and then you've got some bait usually on them bluffs, so they ain't really a bad time to fish them.
So it's Sabrina Shelton asks, what's the difference in the newer catfish ugly sticks than the ones you use?
Well, I haven't used them, so I can't give you firsthand experience, but from what I have been told is they have really cheapened it. Cheaper guides, cheaper blanks, and that's just what I've heard other people who've used both have told me that these newer ones are just garbage. So when the time comes, I'll probably switch to a different brand when I eventually wear out my ugly sticks, my older models.
So Cooper Cromwell has asked a bass fishing question. I'm going to take that's directed
Sure.
at me. It says, have you ever fished green pumpkin baby brush hogs for bass? The answer is yes. That's an excellent salt plastic when it gets here, as hot as it gets, and you just have lethargic fish, and it just seems to be very difficult to get a bite. I really don't particularly like to fish slow, but that is a lure that I've done well with over the years, and I have to credit Jason McCormick for that, because he fishes a baby brush hog as good as anybody in the area. So yes, and they work quite well. It's a little creature bait.
Nice. It's good having a bass resource here for these kind of questions. We're going to have to wrap this up soon, though, Eric, because my phone's going to die unless you got a charger.
You're in charge. So here's I've got a cord over here we can move over to if you need to sit in that stool. But
Well, we've been at it for an hour and a half. I don't want to keep you all night, because God knows you ain't getting paid a dime for this
I
overtime.
know this. No, that's
I mean, I work him like a dog.
David Craig, for a guided trip, where would you recommend? Santee Cooper or somewhere else?
Well, I mean, if you're after big fish, it's hard to go wrong with Santee Cooper or the James River or the Mississippi River. Those are probably three of the top bodies of water for a big fish if you were going to book a guided trip. If you're coming to the Tennessee River, Nickajack, or going down to Alabama, Wheeler or Wilson.
You want to plug in right here?
Well, by gosh, Eric's going to keep us going all night here. He's got a phone charger. Hopefully it works. I didn't feel my phone vibrate at me.
Assuming that's an iPhone, is it?
Yeah. Maybe it don't ding or vibrate if I'm live here. Who knows? I don't know technology. The lighting's pretty good over here. We were concerned about the lighting. That's why we didn't go live when I was out at Dale Hollow, because the lighting was piss poor. Somebody couldn't book a house that's got lighting. I need a YouTube studio in there.
This guy's high maintenance. I'm his agent for free, yet he's high maintenance. Let's see here. So Becky Zimmerman asks, sometimes I see smooth glassy parts on a lake and rough turbine parts. I don't really know what is, I don't know what's causing that channel to make it smooth, but what do you know what's causing that dynamic? And I'm not really sure I follow that question.
Yeah, I don't know that question either. I mean, it could be.
Almost feel like maybe she might be fishing under a dam where they're generating maybe or something.
I mean, you might. I'm sorry, I don't really understand the question.
So, Stephen Laser, what kind of footwear do you use in winter? Because you have to kind of get in the water the way you launch your kayak.
I've got some boots, some NRS Boundary Water boots, and they're like a neoprene waterproof boot. I just use some wool socks under them.
So Cooper Cromwell is asking bass fishing questions, and obviously those
catch
my eye.
That's coming to you right there.
So he's asked if I've ever fished Pickwick Lake. I haven't. There is a Hobie BOS event that is scheduled there. I want to say September, and it is on my schedule. I plan to fish Seminole, which is in February, and also Watts Bar is kind of a home game. Hopefully get off to a good start in those events. I didn't fish those well in 2020 and 2019. I fished them incredibly well, even the Tournament of Champions. But that's the last one on the schedule, so that might be one I'm going to have to fish to get where I need to be. But I've always wanted to fish that lake, so I will be planning to go there, I believe, September time frame.
Nice. Be on the lookout at the top of the leaderboard for him. He cashes in a lot of these things, guys. That's why I want to fish with him, because he knows where they're at and how to catch them.
So Tom Ian asks if you've ever tried a line float from the bank.
A line float, I assume it's just like a peg float, you mean, on my line, like a Santee rig. I mean, I'm not a float guy, really. I use them when I'm dragging, and that's about it. Otherwise, if I'm just casting baits out, or like an anchored position or bank fishing, I don't use a float. Appalachian Fishing gave us $5 here.
All right.
I'm still worried about tomahawks. Accidentally hit a 0.
I saw something in the feed that I think he meant to do 50, and he slipped through the keyboard.
Well, I'll see if we can.
I don't know if that's banter or if that's accurate, but we'll make the proper adjustments either way.
Yeah. Tomahawk, reach out to. First off, Appalachian Fishing, thank you very much for the donation there. But Tomahawk, again, if you screwed up, I'm not going to keep that money at all. We'll figure out a way to get it back to you there. Just reach out to me on. I'm tough to get a hold of because I've turned off the contacts because people kept pestering me. But if you have Facebook, go to my Facebook post and comment with your email or whatever. And if you don't have, well, I'm about to do something stupid and give out my email here to him. See if he pops back up on there. I hate to give out my email and have everybody blowing it up. Not that I don't like talking to everybody, but there's so many people want to chit chat with me, and they message me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's why I turned my Facebook Messenger thing off, because people just kept abusing it on there.
So, Reman asked me, what would you say is a good sized bass? And, I'm kind of like Justin in the fact I really like to catch the big ones. And over the years, I've had to adjust my style to fund limits and tournaments. And so, that's a relative question. I mean, a 15-inch bass can be phenomenal in a tournament if you need to fill a limit. In the state of Tennessee, kind of the guideline is a 22-inch largemouth is considered a TARP award, which is the Tennessee Angler Recognition Program. So if you catch a 22-inch largemouth in Tennessee, you send TWRA a photo, they'll send you a certificate saying that you caught a citation TARP largemouth. The number for smallmouth in Tennessee is 20. I'm kind of spoiled because I couldn't tell you how many 20-inch smallmouth I've caught in my life. It's a pretty high number. I've probably caught a handful of 22-inch largemouth, and then I was fortunate in the spring of 2019 to catch one that was 24 and 3/4 inches down at Chick, and it weighed 10.4. We actually had access to a scale, so that was a really exciting time, and that was also a tournament, and so it was talk about eliminating the competition with one fish. It's like it was game over. So that was a lot of fun. We got Eric Promines from
Eric,
Tin Cat Group, good
T and
fisherman.
Bassin.
He suggests that we should all have a little catfish tournament. I think we would need some lessons before that, but I'm game for that if I get some pro tips from the pro over here.
I'm fine with that too. I'll use my musky bumper board, and you all use your little bass boards, and I got this.
Okay, Joseph Brown has got a TVA question. It says, when they drop the water on Watts Bar, is it better to fish deep for cats or shallow on the flats? Does it depend on water temps this time? Thanks for your input.
Yeah, water temp's most important. Now, when they first drop the water, it gets tough. It gets real tough for 2 weeks or so. But once the water level, even though it's lower, once it stabilizes, then it's all about that water temperature. You get them flats that heat up during the day, that's going to be and the backwater creeks is going to be your ticket. Otherwise, if it gets really cold, then they go deep and you can get them on a deeper water. But, again, I'm setting up in them places to ambush feeding fish moving in and out areas. That's my money maker on this YouTube stuff.
So Tim Troutner says, hi Justin, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
He says, can you tell us about any upcoming plans for your channel?
More of the same. I reached out again to Mike Baker, his YouTube channel there, the other day and spoke with him, and we're going to try to plan a trip at some point in 2021 for me to come out to Missouri and fish with him and learn about crappie fishing and the live scope. I've got some bass tournaments planned, but I will hopefully film if I get something worth showing on camera, and then I'm hoping to make some more trips down to Nickajack, and I want to get down to Alabama this year. So those are kind of some goals of things you'll see on the channel, but otherwise more of the same and hopefully more of it. I'm really hoping to crank out the videos in the spring when YouTube channels do well. And see, this whole YouTube thing, man, it's just kind of taken off for me, totally unexpected. And this has kind of went from a hobby to now I kind of have to treat it like a business. And if I'm going to go through the work of treating something like a business, well, I'm going to go full bore on it. So, yeah.
So nice comment from Logan Jordan. Learned a lot from your videos this year and got my 3 biggest fish with your advice. Thanks for the content,
congrats.
Man. Got an interesting question from Rondell Schuler. Sunfish for bait, good or bad idea?
All about where you're at, man. Around here, I don't do very well with them, but some bodies of water, they're excellent. So we still got 300 people in this. We've been at this almost 2 hours.
302. So we got Luke the Duke. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Luke Duke, he was one of the Duke boys. Duke's a hazard.
Pretty clever name there, Luke the Duke.
Luke Duke.
With the drawdown happening in Chickamauga and Watts Bar, where's the best place to bank fish? Been throwing skips and creeks hard with no luck. Well,
that's going to be your ticket here soon, fishing them creeks. But right now, at least on Watts Bar, they've been they dropped the bottom out of it here. We were a few feet below winter pool, so it's got to get stabilized. But here in the next week or so, it really should start. It should start picking up a lot better in the creeks.
So, Lindsay asks, what is your biggest tournament cat?
50 inches that I've measured. That's the biggest one I measured for a tournament. That was back in, I believe it was June. Yeah, it was a slot tournament, and that was my over slot fish, was that 50 incher.
So Mason Brigman is asking, do you use crankbaits for bass fishing in the winter, and if so, how deep? And Mason, answer is yes, and it's kind of relative to what depth you're trying to target. If you go back and actually look at the video that Justin did at Dale Hollow, you can kind of get the specifics as to what we were doing there. Found out the guy that won was actually fishing quite a bit deeper than than us, and I thought that was interesting. But in his comments there, he talks about the Spro rock crawler. It's they make them in different depths, but my favorite depth is the 9 to 14 foot runner, and it really does a nice job kind of doing what its name says. It kind of bounces off those rocks. A lot of times, when I finally talked him into putting the gulp down, he actually did some crankbait fishing and caught some fish, and you can kind of feel that thing hit a rock, and then a lot of times is that deflection is when that fish eats it. And I caught my biggest tournament fish at Dale Hollow on that rock crawler is an 18 3/4 inch largemouth, which was probably the difference between actually beating kayak catfish in a bass tournament, which kind of pains me to say. But
how many spots out of the money did you finish there?
I finished one spot out of the money. Thanks for
one spot out of the money on that. Gulp minimum might have put you in the money there.
I did see a comment there asking if I had a channel. I do not and will not. So anybody that finds me entertaining, sorry, Charlie. This is the best I can do.
Hey, one thing here, Tomahawk, if you're still watching, put your name, your actual name down there in the comments, if you would, because somebody will try to get me to send them your money. You watch and see there's a lot of crooks out there. So let us know who you are so I know who I'm dealing with there. So
here's a question that I think we both can speak to a little bit. Jerry Ward asks, what do you think about the Hobie 360? I'm on the Hobie fishing team. Obviously, I fish out of a 2020 PA14 with the kick-up fins, and for reasons that are practical, I was able over the years to get a couple of backup drives for the Hobies, which if you're fishing a tournament and you have problems, it's nice to be able to pop a new drive in there so you're not kind of out there trying to paddle a boat that really wasn't designed to be paddled. But Hobie makes great products. I think it's the most comfortable vessel to fish out of. I think the fishability out of a Hobie is there's just nothing that compares to it. They put the thought into it. You get in it, you grab a box or two, you go fishing. The 360, if you have the need for significant maneuverability, that would be the difference between going a 360 versus going a PA14 with the kick-up fins. I like the kick-up fins because if you hit a rock or a tree or something like that as you're moving through the water, those fins are going to kick up. It's much safer. About the only way you're going to turn a Hobie over is if you get twisted up into something and you've got current and you're stuck because your drive is stuck to something. With those kick-up fins, that pretty much takes care of that concern. Guys that have 360s love them. I think to be transparent, anytime something's brand new, they tend to make improvements as the next generations come out. So I would just do your due diligence, and there's great forums on Facebook for Hobie owners, and just talk to somebody that's got one, and then demo. I represent Frontier Outdoors, and be happy to, if you're close by, set up something where we can take some boats out to try. And then that's, Justin said earlier, you want to get the right kayak first, and really the only way to do that is to get into boats and demo. So as spring comes and it starts to warm up, and you've got these places, these outfitters that are doing demos, just go get in the boats, and you'll find one. It's kind of like I used to play golf all the time, so it's golf and guns and whatever your hobby is, whatever feels good to you is probably right for you. And if it's a native, great. If it's a Hobie, great. If it's an Old Town, great. So bottom line is they're all little plastic boats. So that'd be my comments. You got anything to add on that?
I can't add anything. He nailed it. He should be the one doing these live streams, answering these questions.
I don't know about that.
We'll get him a YouTube channel eventually, y'all.
Yeah,
It's coming.
Let's see here.
Oh, here it is. Hold on. Remember this name, Rob Hardwick. Write that down there. Yeah, Rob, reach out to me directly there. If you got Facebook, reach out to me.
R-O-B.
Hardwick.
Hard.
I'll tell you what, Kayak Catfish 247 at gmail.com. My email's going to blow up. Reach out to me on there, Rob.
So there's been several questions throughout the night about eating the catfish, keeping the catfish. I know these waters aren't, I think we've got signs on many of the boat ramps. So you want to touch on that? That's been kind of a fairly consistent thing.
Yeah, everybody asks me all the time about eating fish. I don't eat them. I don't like fish anyway. It's not something I eat. But around here, our water is just nasty. It's contaminated. We've had a lot of pollution. Some from businesses way back in the day, and we've also had nuclear problems. You can Google Kingston coal ash spill. That's ecological disaster. They dumped millions of gallons of coal ash into the Emery River, which then flowed to the Clinch River and into the Tennessee. That right there where it went in, just a mile or two from the Tennessee. So it was disaster. So look that up on Google and that'll tell you everything you need to know about why you don't need to be eating fish out of this area.
A couple of good ones here. Sabrina Sheldon asks, if you don't have a graph on your kayak, how do you choose a good spot to catfish?
Visually is one thing. I mean, you can look in an area with your eyes and you can see, like out here on the Tennessee River, for instance, we have marker buoys for the boats to navigate. In between them buoys, that's your main channel, right? That's your main channel edge. So if you can get along, kind of in line with them buoys, you're going to have your bait somewhere near the edge of the channel. Again, visually, you can look and see where a creek flows in and kind of get your baits somewhere thereabouts. If your body of water goes through winter drawdown, you can get a real good feel of the contours of the land. And Google Earth is another one that's kind of, you can pick out a lot of good places on Google Earth, just being able to see, you can easily see river bends and points and things like that. So,
Weston Hoover says, Merry Christmas. Justin, do you have a permit for your 4 poles?
Oh, Merry Christmas to you. No, here in Tennessee, we don't have any kind of regulations as far as the number of rods we can use. So our fishing license covers however many we want to use.
Bill Ross says, great program, guys. Please do it again.
I'll never get him to work for free again after this, y'all.
My price tag went way up, Bill. So just keep that in mind.
Well, he's plugged his Frontier Outdoors sponsorship there tonight. I think that's payment enough for him tonight.
Here we go.
Advertising ain't free on here, Eric.
Caden Myers says, what's the biggest striper you've caught?
Tough to say. I don't weigh them, and they're kind of tough to guesstimate on anyway because I don't have a good reference for them. But I've caught some that's well over 40 inches as far as length goes. Oh, he's laughing. This ain't gonna be good.
So Brad Crum, the pride of Newport, Vice Mayor of Cotton County, he's not the tallest person in the world. He's vertically challenged. He says,
because they're from Newport.
He says, how in the world do you measure a 50-inch catfish in a kayak? That's 3 inches taller than me.
I ain't gonna touch that, Brad. If I knew you better, I'd roast you on that.
Oh boy, he's special. He's a special talent. Justice and Yayo says, what's the best bait to use for all seasons?
I mean, if I could only choose one bait forever, I'd pick skipjack. I mean, you'll catch fish on it year round here anyway. If it's not native to your water, I wouldn't suggest it. But shad's pretty predominant in most catfishing areas, and you can't really go wrong with shad.
All right, let's see. This is a great question from Eddie Cardenas. It says, hey, Justin, I really dig your shows. Was wondering, I just started using the Navionics app. Do you find distance from shore and depth in the water fairly accurate?
It varies. It varies greatly depending on where you're at. Out here where I fish, Fort Loudon and Watts Bar, very accurate. You get on Teleco, not so much. So you kind of, that's where it helps to have a graph and be able to make sure that you are where you think you are.
So, Ben Bregman asks if you recommend any fishing app. I know there's some that kind of talk about major and minor biting times.
Oh yeah, I don't pay no attention to them almanac times. I don't, as far as fishing apps, Navionics is the only one I use. I know there's like Fish Brain and stuff. They was trying to pay me money earlier in the year to plug them. I was like, I ain't gonna take money to plug something that I ain't gonna use. So no, I don't. Just Navionics for me.
So, let's see here. Tom N says, amazing channel. You got me back on fishing and off of golf. So that was
Well,
kind of pretty good.
one expensive, frustrating hobby to another.
That's right.
You're welcome.
Hunter Howe asks if you've ever fished the Coosa River chain in Alabama.
Never have. Maybe someday. I hear this guy right here catches some big bass down there, but
That's one place that I'd really like to fish. I haven't fished down there either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would like to, though.
he's getting tired. He's slowing down, y'all. We're going to have to wrap it. We've been at this 2 hours. I got a girlfriend at home right now. She's pissed that I'm still here and not back at home. I'm going to hear about this later.
Let's see here. Oh, let's see. So we're getting a bass tip from Richard Long. He says, when you fish those bass tournaments, try pitching a 6 to 8 inch lizard. Just try and practice. Better step up to at least 4-pound test, though. You can jig with the lizard. You'll win those tournaments.
Okay. I get a lot of people telling me how I should fish and what I should do.
You don't listen.
Even tournaments I've won, I got Santee Cooper tournament. I'd never fished there, went over there and dominated. I mean, I stomped them guys' asses. And I have people telling me how I should be fishing everything I do wrong.
So this is an interesting question. Sean, I'm not even going to try to butcher your last name. It's above my pay grade. Are there walleye in the rivers you fish? And if so, could you target them for one video?
There are walleye. I caught my first one this year by accident while I was out there skipjack fishing. As far as targeting them, hell, I wouldn't know where to begin. I've done a lot of sauger fishing, and again, you'd think I'd catch them by accident, but that one this year was the first one ever.
So guys, I'll tell you what, it's 9:42. I'm gonna go solid to 10 o'clock, but we need some more of these exciting donations up at the top.
Oh, listen,
so I'm gonna throw my salesman in
he's
on
peddling
the
for the
mix.
money here.
So I'm trying
I
gotta feed this guy. That steak was expensive tonight. So
Lord, he did. He fed me a nice steak. What would you call it?
a prime fillet from
Prime
our
fillet.
fine butcher here at Butler and Bailey. Man, they got some great meat.
It was excellent. When I go, I'm getting the cheapest thing Walmart has. It's 2 days past expiration on sale. That's what I get.
So we're starting to get some questions here. Appalachian Fishing asks, have you tried Moon Eye down your way? I can get them easy in my area. Just wonder if they would work as good as gizzard shad.
Yeah, they probably would. I don't ever get them here.
Hey,
But
we got $5. from
yeah,
Marcus.
don't be
All
afraid to use the Moon Eye. Hey, Marcus, all right, you my man, $5.
Get these lights.
He leave a comment or just a?
No, he
Just
just
a comment. Well, thank you, Marcus.
He's just listening to me ask for money. I love it.
Well,
Look, you see how instant that was?
well, Eric's a salesman by trade. By God, he can talk you out of some stuff
Oh boy.
or into some stuff, I should say.
Let's see here. Rebel Outdoors, love the videos. Keep up the great work. Tight lines. Okay, here's a great question from Ty Hunter. Maybe more of a comment, suggestion. Can you make a video where you look at a body of water on Navionics and show promising structure or spots you would fish, just judging from the Navionics map?
Well, and this is where YouTube kind of screws me and screws a lot of people. So could I do that type of video? Yes. Will I do it? No. I couldn't do it justice with my poor video and editing skills. And the second thing is, people just don't watch. That's going to be something that a few of my subscribers would tune into, but it's not going to appeal to the masses. And if you can't appeal to the masses, it really hurts your channel. So, I'm not going to do it, but the Don Dixon YouTube channel is probably the best as far as picking out a body of water, reading and understanding the contour map, because he's a Buck Perry disciple, and that's where I learned just about everything I know about reading a lake map is through the Buck Perry books.
So,
You was laughing hard at something over there a minute ago.
well,
He's got private chats going on here.
yeah, no, I'm not.
6% of my audience is women. He's probably got a date and follow them tonight. Deanna and Nikki's probably got his phone number over here.
Yeah. Anyway, so Matt Lyles asked if you ever catch spoonbill, and I think you have a video of that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Yeah, I don't snag for them purposely, but I did get that one by accident.
So just a shout out to Marcus Schaefer again. He works for a brokerage firm. He says always ask for the money. I don't know if Marcus, if you can see this right here.
Plug
I
power.
don't know if you know anything about that, but let's just say that's been really good to me. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. A little inside joke there. Me and you don't know nothing about. All right. Out of the loop here on my own live stream. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Cheesy J. I hadn't seen Cheesy J all night long. Justin, how old were you when you caught your first catfish?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I didn't take up catfishing specifically till my early 20s, but I had caught some just accidental bass fishing and stuff before that. So probably my teenage years, I guess.
Finn Terry, what's your favorite movie?
Probably Smokey and the Bandit. Or Porky's. Porky's is an awesome movie. That's a timeless classic. If you don't think Porky's is funny, we can't be friends.
I actually think that they're, speaking of Smokey and the Bandit, I think the blonde Dukes of Hazzard guy has done another remake of Smokey and the Bandit.
John Schneider has done
That is a fact. I saw that on the local news, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen, I like Bo Duke.
If you guys want,
but he ain't no bandit.
If
all
you
right.
want to get back to catfishing, we need to see these green and red and yellow lights.
He's over here like a damn street peddler over here.
That's right. Jim Hughes is also a Porky's fan.
Timeless classic, Porky's.
Okay, Mr. Ford Twitch, what would you do if you had a way to get spoonbill without snagging? I think he's asking, how do you catch them without snagging? And we got $10 from Cody.
Hey, Cody, my man.
Yeah, he's going fishing tomorrow in 28 degrees. Bundle up, man.
God, you stay warm out there, Cody. You stay warm. Thank you for the money, by the way, Cody. As far as the spoonbill, gosh, honestly, I don't know. I mean, they're plankton eaters, so they kind of swim around with their mouths open with that plankton. I don't know anybody that targets them without snagging for them.
Tom's paying close attention. He gave us $5. Thank you, Tom.
Hey, thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. Tom's a good man. All these people giving us money now, man.
So Matt Key says your channel is doing well here in Iowa. I actually used to live in Iowa, so I'll give a shout out to Matt in Iowa. Very nice people up that way. And I actually kind of really focused in on some smallmouth fishing. I lived in the Quad Cities, and there was a river that actually emptied into the Mississippi. And nobody up there much fishes for bass. They fish for walleye and catfish. And let me tell you something. I caught some phenomenal smallmouth just wading in a little skinny creek, which was a blast. A lot of fun. So shout out to Iowa there. Thanks for watching.
State of Iowa. Awesome job.
So Stephen Laser and a couple other people have asked, how do you find shad in the winter? And it's tough.
Yeah, most of my shad guys come from shallow creeks in the winter. I get out there a sunny day, they'll be in there. I mean, I get my shad less than 3 feet deep most of the time.
Weston Hoover asks what we're raising money for. I mean, it's just Christmas, my man.
Hey, you can't never have too much money. My gosh.
Ben Bregman, show me the money. Justin, how many tournaments a year do you enter, and what's the most you have won? And he paid $4.99 to get an answer.
Hey, well, thank you. Gosh, how many tournaments a year do I enter? It kind of varies. Last year when I was doing the catfish tournaments, I was entering pretty frequently, about every month. And I've got several planned this year, bass tournaments. So it kind of varies. But as far as what the biggest tournament I've won was at that tournament video from Santee Cooper that's on my channel. I got first place in that tournament, and I won, I think it was a little over $1,000 cash, and I won a new canoe Frontier kayak, which is around $1,500. So that was my biggest win ever. And thank you for the donation again there. Who's these other donators?
So Luke the Duke.
Luke Duke, the new bandit.
He threw a question out there. He says, "You ever use the double hook rig, Kentucky rig? Thanks for the info on the drawdown."
Well, your timing on that, the old Kentucky rig, I am going to be using that a little more. I've used it in the past, yes. Not something I use regularly, but I am kicking around the idea of playing with that a little more to be able to put more bait out with the same number of rods. And so, and I'm going to be doing some more live bait fishing probably tomorrow. And if I can find me some shad tomorrow, and I'll probably use that rig then.
So I have a customer that saw my hat, wanted to know what plug power is. It is Tom Edwards. It's a hydrogen fuel cell company. Stock has just done incredibly well. I've been fortunate to have it for very many years, and probably going to give me the ability to fish all the time at some point in the near future. So take a look. Take a look at it. PLUG is the ticker. They do partner with Amazon, and Walmart's one of their largest customers. But
inside information.
Inside information, and my man that was a broker there, I believe it was Marcus. He probably could tell you more than I can about it, but it's been an interesting company to watch evolve. So check it out.
All right, we went from fishing to Mad Money with Jim Kramer over here.
And
CNBC.
Stocks and, if people know what this is, I'm getting some.
I believe it. I believe it.
I like it. Okay, let's see here. Somebody says that there's an electric spoonbill lure. I'm not sure if you've ever heard.
I ain't never heard of that.
Heard of that. Cody is giving us some green dollars here at $5. He says, "I know you don't weigh your fish, but can you throw me a ballpark guess of your heaviest fish?"
Well, for $5, I'll throw out between 70 and 80 pounds. How about that?
I'll throw some numbers out, Cody. Keep throwing some money our way, bud. Let's see.
As the $1 million man Ted DiBiase used to say, everybody's got a price.
John Doe, would you ever fish the Kansas River?
I assume that's in Kansas. I'd fish it, but I don't have any plans to be out there. I hear it's pretty country. It's flat, but I hear it's pretty out there.
So Sean Hofferly, and I probably butchered that. Any suggestions for the upper Mississippi catfishing?
I'm the wrong person to ask, honestly. I don't know. I've never been out there, and I don't know anything about it.
So I'll throw just I don't know. Upper Mississippi could be Minnesota for all I know, but the border of Iowa and Illinois is the river, and I actually lived right on the river when I was living in Iowa. That place is it's a monster, and I think it would be amazing to me to see what types of fish you could get out of there. So if you listen to what Justin says, that kind of the theme is, it's kind of what's indigenous to your area is probably what's going to be most beneficial. And Justin can wear it out, here in East Tennessee, and I'm sure there's some other really great fishermen on this channel that do really well in their home waters. But man, when you go and you travel, that really tests your skills. Can you adapt? Can you understand the ecosystem? Can you basically you're trying to predict what something you're not comfortable with is going to do. So it's not the easiest thing in the world, but there are people that have a knack for it. So that would be my take on the upper Mississippi. It's very fertile ecosystem. There's tons of bait, tons of vegetation, so I mean I'm sure the fishing up there can be outstanding.
Well, there you go.
Outside of the fact it's probably frozen solid right now.
I was going to say, if it's Minnesota, you ain't going to catch me there this time of year. I love Minnesota. It's a beautiful state, but you ain't going to get me there in the winter.
Peach State Catfish asks, what made you decide to chase catfish in a kayak?
Accident. I was already catfishing out of a boat and took a little vacation out to Las Vegas and did a kayak tour below Hoover Dam there, and I thought, man, it'd be awesome to catch a fish in one of these things. And come back home and got me a kayak and mounted some rod holders to it, and man, the rest is history because it was just so much fun. My boat was just collecting dust under the carport, and I eventually got sold. Now I just fish out of the kayak.
So, I have got an interesting question from Swak Fishing. What's the most fish you've caught in one trip?
I assume he's probably meaning
I'm
catfish.
assuming so too, yes.
More than enough to clean me out of bait. I'll say that. Probably 50-ish or so. Usually though, when you get in a day like that where you're getting a lot of numbers, it's mostly small fish. And before YouTube, if I was on a day like that where I was really just getting eat up with small fish, I'd leave. I'd get the heck out of there. But now with YouTube, people tend to like a lot of the action and stuff, so I'll stick around and catch them. But I'd say probably 50-ish. Ultralight fishing, well over 100 when you throw in them Gulp minnows that Eric hates so much.
So Britt Simpson asked, how far are we from Springfield, Tennessee? And I think if my logistics are correct, I think we're probably 2.5. It's just south of Nashville, I believe, Springfield. That's where the Nissan plant is. So 2.5, 3 hours, depending on kind of, I guess, which direction you go. So that's roughly where we're at up here in Knoxville area. And then Cody Coulter asked, has either one of you fished the Chattahoochee River? I have not.
I have not either.
And then there was a question about a technique I wanted to. Here we go. Jason Smith asks, I watched your older videos and used a knocker rig while suspended fishing, or fishing for suspended fish, and now you're using a Carolina rig. So which do you prefer?
Well, for anchor fishing, I like the Carolina rig because really the main reason for using the knocker rig comes into play when you're drifting and you have to deal with wind or snags. It's much better for that, in my opinion. But I stopped using the knocker rig because I got tired of answering so many damn questions about it. It's just something that nobody else does. And I did a couple videos explaining why I was using the knocker rig and the results I was having from it. And then when I started anchoring more with suspended baits, I did a video talking about why I was going to use the Carolina rig in that situation, and I still kept getting pestered over and over with the same damn questions from these part-time viewers. And so I was like, I'm just going to really simplify all my gear and my techniques to kind of save myself time with answering the questions. Even though we're doing a whole live stream here tonight answering questions, me getting pestered to death and messages and comments, I ain't social enough for social media is the real answer to this.
So I'll give a couple of shout outs here. Cheesy J was joining us from the UK, and he is
Nice.
he's off to bed. It's 3 a.m. there. So Cheesy J, if you're still on, thanks for tuning in from afar.
Yeah. Thanks for staying up all night with us, Cheesy.
We'll do two more questions here and kind of see if we get anything super fantastic to keep rolling. Like to see some more donations coming in, people.
Listen, he's pandering for that money, folks.
So
he ain't getting a dime of it
Colin
either.
Foster, is it better to use live bluegill or dead bluegill?
That's going to vary depending on where you're at. I'll tell you from my own personal success, I've done better with live bluegill than with cut bluegill here.
So looks like a jig maker. You fish custom jigs. If you ever want some crappy jigs, I'd love to send you some, see how you like them. Throw me some of your favorite colors and DM me, and I'll let you know where he'll send them to you.
Well, thanks. I'll when I fish with Mike Baker, I'll have a better understanding of what I need to throw and what colors and whatnot. So thank you for the offer on that. Hopefully I can get over there with Mike soon. It's going to, again, depend on weather and schedules and all that. He's got a real busy work schedule. But,
Luke,
yeah, thank you for that, though.
Luke Huffman says, dang, y'all still live?
Yeah, I know. This guy, he's working me
my
like a dog over here.
Bedtime here. Cooper Cromwell, what's the best live bait for giant flathead catfish?
I mean, for me, I like them live, or the white bass, because they kick so good. And earlier this year, I caught a flathead that spit up a drum. And so I think that drum, the carp, I think those are real good baits.
All right, this would probably be a good one to to end the evening.
All right, he's finally letting me off here, y'all. This is it. This is the one you've waited till the end on.
It's school night, night. Let's see. Peach State Catfish. I think they've asked a couple questions tonight, but it says, what, in your opinion, is the top all-time deadliest rig for flatheads from the setup to the bait?
From the setup to the bait, top all-time for flatheads. Well, I'm probably, again, the wrong person to ask, being that I'm not a true flathead fisherman, but, you know, it's hard to go wrong with the Carolina rig, no matter whether you after blues or flatheads. As far as the, you know, the setup, you know, gosh, it can vary so much depending on where you're fishing. I mean, you know, my friend Denny up there in Iowa, he's fishing them smaller, faster flowing rivers. He is targeting log jams. I mean, he'll push his kayak right up on the log jam and drop his bait down into that wood. So if you're fishing that type of deal, you're gonna need a whole different rod and reel setup than what you are with, say, somebody like me who's out here on a reservoir. So God, I hate to end. Let's get another question, because I can't answer that question appropriately.
Oh,
let's do one more here to end it with.
I told you, man, 10 o'clock I was out.
Well, 10:01, damn it. Or you're fired. How about that?
Oh, let's see here. Somebody give us a good question or a donation. We might go 15 minutes longer if I see.
I ain't doing another 15 more minutes. Hell with that.
What's your favorite hobby besides fishing?
You know, fishing takes up most of my time, but I like playing some disc golf and I like working in my garden. So that'd be my two hobbies, and chasing women. But no, I can't say that. My girlfriend's probably watching right now, wondering where I'm at. So I'm gonna be chasing her later tonight.
I can say that. I'm good if you're good.
All right, man. I feel like we have done enough here. We're going to call it quits. Everybody out there tonight has donated me. Thank you so much. It is greatly appreciated. It means a lot to me. And, you know, we've had a few hundred people in here start to finish. So thank you. So, we got another one. Palmetto Cats, my man. He's going to be my guide over there on Santee Cooper.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Big thank you to this guy right here. Fed me tonight, did 2 hours on this, and he done it free of charge. And even gave you some bass fishing knowledge. I'm going to follow him around on Saturday, see if I can't beat him in this tournament too, by the way.
Good luck.
Anyway, guys, thank you all so much. Have a good night. Merry Christmas. I'll see you here soon.